about. I guess I'll just go live. Tick a tick. Burn some sage, I guess. Kick this bad boy off. Got the sage burning. See what we got. See if we get a little sage burning. I don't know what's gonna happen. No telling what's going to happen. I guess I better put my phone number up there. Kind of scared to put my number up there now. We never know. Little sage burn. It's kind of a weak sage burn right there. I've had a long day. I did nothing but did work. Worked around the house, took my girl fishing, walked around town, scheduled a few calls for next week. Miss Murder Australia's in the house. I could talk about anything. I could talk about Kelsey's case. I could talk about anything today. But my light just went out too. What's up with that? How's that happen? Cheap ass light. Cheap light. Let's see if we can put a phone number up. I don't even know. Oh, wow. Nice. Let's just add a number. Text. Put a text in. Phone number. If you want to call in, you better call in. If you're listening, 719 377 0343. I have no idea what today will bring, but we'll see. If I don't get a call in, I'm going to jump subjects and then I just won't take any calls. Bingo. Should be able to see that now. If you can't see that, it's coming. You'll be able to call in the number. What's up, everyone? Shell's here. Colorado Crime Con's in the house. My dog is jumping on the door. It's going to be loud. I'm about ready to cut this camera and get myself prepared for the nonsense that we call. Let me see if I can grab a picture from the interweb so that I can just throw it up there when I need to. Ta-ka-ta. There goes my lights again. I kind of like it in the dark, though. Feels kind of homey. We're fishing today. Got some slams, but we didn't catch anything. I was a little upset, a little frustrated. But they haven't stocked the ponds yet. Once they stock the pond in town, we'll take you on a fishing trip, and then we're gonna go do some fishing on the kayak. We'll probably shoot some video, but you won't get too much of that. Let's see if we can save image as. Bam! My phone must not be working. I didn't pay my phone bill. Yep, I haven't missed any calls. Maybe that's the best way to not get anything. Is just don't pay your phone bill. But my phone's working. And I now can do this. Bam. Oh, it's going to be one of those lives, is it now? I can see how it is. Everybody's waiting for that first phone caller. Waiting for them to, I can go to bed. I don't need to talk to anybody. Oh, there we go. Now we can kill these cameras until someone calls in. Y'all can call in if you want or don't. I'm gonna sit behind this picture here for a little bit and enjoy myself. Let myself get prepared for whatever's coming. We're early though, so it's an early night. I do have a couple of things I want to talk about. There is a missing kid or a missing son out of Colorado Springs that the mother contacted me today, or the husband. So I'm trying to get information about that kid so that I can pass that on. She's supposed to send me a picture and some. Oh, look, see, it didn't take long. Miss Murder Australia was gonna call in for sure. Is this Miss Murder? Oh, I got hung up on.
No.
Uh-oh.
No.
See, you're in. You're in, Miss Murder. What are you up to?
Oh, I'm trying to stay awake.
Well, now
Ridiculous.
now the phone's going. I got Athens, Georgia calling. Australia's calling.
Yeah, you got. See? I just had to kick it up a notch.
Yeah. So what have you been up to? Did you
Sleeping.
sleeping?
Sleeping.
So
Yep.
what time is it right now there in Australia?
It's lunchtime.
Oh, it's lunchtime?
Yeah.
Ah.
No, I can't get rid of this chronic fatigue. Ridiculous. It's getting worse, but I'm trying.
What is
So I think
what
everyone's
causes
Hey.
chronic fatigue?
I have no idea. My blood's all fine. Everything's normal. Have no idea. No clue. I'm over it.
Maybe you just need some. I thought about you this week when I read a study about shrimp. I read a
Shrimp, yes.
shrimp contain. They tested shrimp, and the shrimp contain cocaine and heroin inside the
I
world
read
shrimp.
that. That's crazy.
I knew I liked
But
shrimp for a reason. You should maybe eat more shrimp, and then it'll wake you up.
you know what the problem is? We eat prawns. They're different.
Yeah, the prawns. I don't know. Y'all probably don't have as much cocaine in y'all's water over there.
The prawns don't have enough cocaine. That's the problem.
Yeah, you gotta swim.
I just need some good old speed.
What cases are you working on right now?
I'm going to start bringing some United Kingdom, like UK stuff into the channel, which will be good, because I'm only doing US and Australian at the moment. But, I'm going to start bringing some United Kingdom stuff in. And everyone's wondering, is there any update on Gypsy?
I have not had any update, and I haven't made a phone call. I haven't called the police yet. I haven't called them this week yet, so I might maybe make that phone call tomorrow. But no,
Yeah.
I have nobody's given an update. No news organization has updated. I have been keeping an eye on the page, and there's no real update from the page. So it's there's another missing. I just got contacted about another missing, a missing son now. He was in Colorado, last known in Colorado Springs. I don't have his information quite yet. They haven't gotten back to me, but they reached out to me. I don't know.
Are you going to...
I don't know if I'm gonna go look and see if I see this kid or if he's around. I don't know where his parents are at. They reached out to me today, and it looks like North. Oh, they did send me a picture. So He went missing in the North Nevada area. Was informed not to give out exact address because he no longer lives there. So, yeah, this is, I guess, a dad that is reaching out.
Colorado Springs isn't far from you, is it? It's like it's between you and Denver, but it's closer to you than Denver, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean it only takes me 20 minutes to get down the pass. So
Yeah, I was checking out which airport I would need to go to. I was going to go fly into Colorado Springs Airport.
yeah, if you fly into if you have a choice. Now sometimes if you're gonna rent a car, then sometimes people may want to fly into Denver and drive through the mountains to us, or come down the highway, either one. Because sometimes what happens is your flight would go straight. It would go to Denver, then you would switch planes, and then you would stay on the plane, and then they would drop you, in Colorado Springs. But sometimes there's a layover in Denver anyway. So some people opt and the price difference may be, I don't know what the price difference is, but either way, I'm about 35 minutes from the Colorado Springs airport, and I'm about an hour and a half from the Denver airport.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to let other people ring in. I just wanted to kickstart the...
Got to kickstart that phone call. See? All right, we'll see if Athens calls back. All right, we'll see you, Miss Murder. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Whoop, whoop. Miss Murder. Here I was trying to take a break, kick off this show, get my chopper going, and Australia had to call me. Athens, you can call back. The phone lines are open. You can ask me any question today. I'm open for any questions. One, good, bad, or indifferent. But you got to call in. You can't just chat the question. So, it ain't that expensive. I'm sure most of y'all got cell phones. Dial 1. She just called me from Australia. What are you trying to get in my live video for, Muffin? Muffin's out back. She wants to come inside. I feel like I've slacked on these cases, but I have been a little busy. I have been a little busy trying to keep myself out of trouble. But I do need to spend a day just hammering the doors on the Gypsy case. People are really, really wondering what's going on with that one. Do you want to come in that bad, girl? All right, just a second. Oh, Muffin wants to come in. Come here, Muffin. Come on. You're going to have to get big and jump. Ready, set, go. Oh. Oh. There you go. Now Muff's in the house. But don't you be a butthead. Oh, I just missed a call. See that, Muff? You made me miss a call. Somebody's like, dang it. Missed Athens, maybe? Maybe not. Maybe I didn't. Maybe that was from the last call. I could call him back, but I would hate for him to be like, I just wanted to be the first call. Man, I had a great conversation last night. Julie K, I don't have any news on Gypsy. Everybody, if you're on the Facebook pages, you know as much as I do. Nobody's doing anything, I don't think. I wish the cops would tell us something. I am seeing her everywhere now. I was at a event the other day, and I swore, I was like, that looks like Gypsy. I just am, but I need to make phone calls on that. I feel like not guilty. I feel like there's a chance. Oh, look, Athens, Georgia's calling in now. Let's see what we can do here. I better take it. You're live with Dad with the phone.
Hi, Dad with the phone. It's Erin. How are you?
Oh, how are you doing, Erin?
Good. I didn't have to be the first caller, but I was like, come on, people, let's go. Let's call.
I know, right? All of a sudden, since my since the notorious potty mouth call, I haven't got any prank calls. I haven't. I barely had any conversations this week at all. I did have a few messages I need to answer back. People did call and leave a few messages, but it's been a
Hopefully
pretty
they're.
quiet week so far.
Oh man, that's so boring.
Uh, you know, boring life is a good life. I'm deciding. I'm deciding. I know that it's about to get busy because of the Patrick's case, and then I got a couple of big events coming up next month. So, but
Right.
right now I'm okay with slow. I feel like everything else is speeding. But how's your week going?
It's going pretty well. I have a lot of people that I see that are in chat that I've been watching some trials with on Jay's channel or her YouTube.
Yeah.
But there's a case in Georgia that I noticed Jennifer Sosby said Athens, Georgia. That's near me. So she might have been watching the case. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the couple that killed their 15-day-old baby.
Oh, I saw this. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm a little familiar with the case and have been watching it, and it is it's not these things are, I don't know if social media is good in this sense because of this stuff, but what are your thoughts on this case?
Well, the good news is that the jury, I think they took a little bit over an hour.
They took a long time.
Yeah, for two people. They had to, put the guilties on two different pieces of paper for both of them. So and they're actually cousins. They weren't raised around each other, but they're first cousins, and we're aware of that when they met in 2013, and this was their second child they had together. But the good news is that they were both found guilty. The father is the one that is believed to have done it, although he's insisting that he did not. After the verdict was read, he had to be removed from the courtroom for a while. He's got,
Jeez.
yeah, he's got some major anger issues, but then he was also a meth head. It was pretty good PSA for not doing meth.
Yeah, there's quite a few out there. Those uh, say no to meth, kids.
Yeah, because she got second-degree murder because she was doing meth and not taking care of her children and basically allowing him in her home.
Yeah, man, this is
Uh,
this is where I listened to some stuff this week about the future of having babies, and proportionately, I'm against a lot of stuff, but we're at a point now where it's interesting to. I think part of their sentencing should be they should be rendered sterile.
yeah. Well, he'll never get out. Although it was interesting because during the sentencing phase, the prosecutors brought in a therapist that had gone in to evaluate him when he was first taken to jail. And have not been looking at chat, so I apologize.
Rendered sterile.
Hang on, let me.
Oh, you don't need to be looking at chat. They ain't got nothing to say. Wait, this is a call-in show. This ain't a chit chat show in the side room. you kids get in there and start chatting about whatever.
So yeah, somebody just said thanks for the news because they didn't.
Yeah, no.
Here. So the mom got 30 years 15 in jail and then 15 probation. But typically, people like her, they'll violate their probation. So I doubt that she'll, you know, be out after 15 years and never get back, unfortunately. But part of the problem with them, because they're first cousins, when you're procreating with one of your first cousins, there's higher likelihood of birth defects. And with this baby, I know that she had like a claw foot, and there were already things that, you could hear about, the physical, what that baby would be.
Jeez. It's just crazy is what it is. There's craziness in the world.
Exactly. But so when the psychologist went to evaluate him, it was a female psychologist, and they called it a turtle suit that they put prisoners in when they're on suicide watch. I can't even envision that in my mind what that looks like. But she was looking at her computer, and at one point he told her to look up. And she looked up, and he was masturbating on the other side of the window when she was there to do his psych evaluation.
Well, they just passed a law, they're trying to pass a law in Texas right now to make it illegal to masturbate. You think I'm lying? That's a true story. Now it's
I believe it.
It's kind of a satirical thing. It's actually a pro-choice woman trying to say that men don't have the right to masturbate or something. I don't know. It was a funny story, but it was still a true story they're trying to do. Man, this is I'm wondering about like the psychological effects of county jail, putting someone in a box. I think about Patrick right now. He's been in jail since December 21st, 2018. So what is that? 5 months, 6 months now.
Right.
And up until then he was walking around free, and then all of a sudden I got people knocking. My wife was freaking out because the dog was in here because I brought the dog through the window. The Patrick, 6 months in the county jail, and most of that time in some sort of solitary cell confinement. And so that's going to start wearing on somebody. That's going to start wearing on him. It wears on anybody. All of a sudden you see a guy masturbating across from you. Oh my gosh.
It was interesting because, 13th jurors talking about it in chat. Like, the judge is like, "Do you have anything you want to say?" And all I wanted to talk about was that. He's like, "But no, I mean, because the prosecutor said, did he finish things?" And she said, yes, he completed it.
I guess at that point, though, you've lost everything, so you just don't care.
Right.
Right? So you lose your mind. You're losing your mind.
He was probably, it was like 3 or 4 days after the baby went missing, so he hadn't had meth in a couple of days. And his claim is that the Velcro and the suit don't work, and he was not doing that, and he's just going on, and the judge was like, "Do you care about anything else about like your sentence? Like, is there anything you want to say?"
Oh no, he's swallowed that one down. This is why I think this is another reason why I think these guys are starting to go to trial now and not take deals. But it'll be interesting because Patrick, you guys are watching all these trials. in like these new courthouses with good cameras and good audio, and that's just not what's going to happen with Patrick's case.
I know.
It's
I
like
know.
if you're not sitting in this 1904 courtroom, we're going to have to look at the tweets.
Now, do you think that they might try to do a change of venue? Or
I think so, but the more and more I talk to people around here, they they feel like Teller County wants to keep this here. And so, although the defense the defense is going to bring that up. They're going to say, "Hey, we should switch venues." Because to find people that don't know about much about the case isn't actually going to be that hard. People are going to know that what happened here, but they're not going to know necessarily all the details unless they're just following, social media stuff. And although there's a lot of people following social media, I still believe the majority of the population is not going on to these, crime shows and listening to this stuff on a regular basis, know all the details. So
right.
I think they'll argue that. I think they'll argue, okay, maybe if we move it, the defense will say maybe we can find some people who don't necessarily know every detail about the case, or they're not so close to the community. The flip side of it, I think the real kicker is going to be just the size. I would be interested to see, average jury pools, like before they pull those 12 people, what is an average jury pool? And it really fluctuates with inside how big the city is, but at some point they're going to get, you don't want them too big, and then at some point you don't want them too small. And the most they can get from Teller County, the largest jury pool they're going to get is 150, 200 jurors. And then they're going to whittle that down to 12. Well, that might be good, or it might be better to go to like Durango and get 1,000 jurors to choose from, And so I look at the defense and I would move it because if you look at just the evidence, I don't know how strong of a case. I know how strong of a case we think it is because we got to hear the pre-trial and we got to hear all the hearsay evidence. But when it gets to the trial, what evidence is brought forth and what isn't is going to be a different story. So,
Right. And I think for a lot of us, we don't live, the life of a cowboy, or, when we see videos of him and the way he was treating his dogs, training them to herd the cattle or whatever and things like that, he actually might be better off in a place like where he is because people understand that a little bit more maybe than...
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know because I talked to somebody yesterday who is very much involved in the rodeo world. That she grew up here. She's 5 generations Teller County. She knew Patrick, and she's already hung that sumbitch. Like she's like, and this is the first time I've actually spoke with her, but I've been trying to get to talk to her because she has been around this area a long time and is only, I mean, she's only she's a few years older than Patrick, like 5 years older, but she did all the rodeos and knew him as a kid growing up, even to the point where she knew last year, and it might have been with KK, or it could, there's a lot at play here. So she knew about some inheritance money that people had only been rumoring about. And I asked her, I was like, how do you know about this? And she's like, well, it's well known that when his dad died, his dad left money for everybody. And so, like, Patrick went out and bought, like, this real expensive stud horse after his dad died. And everyone was like, where'd he get all this? What is he doing with this stud horse, And how'd he get this money? And so then she said that it was pretty well known that the dad had left a substantial amount of money to Kaylee, in some sort of trust that would have been controlled by her parents at at some point, but or at least the parent she grew up with would be you know somehow entitled or close to that trust somehow, and so that's where that's just news that I didn't no one was really privy to other than the people in those probate hearings, and all of that has been we've all been kicked out of that stuff, and so
Gosh.
they haven't been talking about what's been happening in those custody battle hearings and what exactly that means and stuff. So I don't know if the trust is actually there and if that's a real thing or if it's just another, rumor started from someone here locally. Um, but it definitely brings in motive, right? It brings in like real because he wasn't in a custody battle, and for all intensive purposes, Kelsey was spending time with him, and the baby was spending time with him. So it wasn't like he wasn't able to see the baby. So um, I don't know. It's a crazy, crazy. I'm getting. I ran into Sam, the reporter, the other day downtown Colorado Springs, and we just started talking about it. It's like it feels like it's taken forever, but it's not really. So
Well, that's because Chris Watt's case happened so quickly that everybody wants instant growth, you know?
yeah, and I didn't know anything about. I didn't really pay attention to the Chris Watts case. So I mean, he made a deal, and I knew that the deal is a different deal than what's happening. This thing is really going to play out. They're going to have to prove it's not like they have a open shut case on Patrick. So it'll be interesting what they actually prove and what they actually get convicted of. I
But
so
it, the case of this couple, a lot of the evidence was circumstantial. Um, I mean, they were trying to open it up to, he had a lot of enemies that, somebody could have come into the house and harmed the baby or, so they were trying to pepper in the doubt, but,
yeah, but did they find the baby?
oh yeah, they found the
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, they had a physical body.
Right, but
That's
they still,
that's where like that's like 50% of it. There's a murder's been taking place. We know because here's the body, you know,
right,
and where in a case where we know the police have already said we have found no evidence of Kelsey or her body, and
right.
and so at that point the question can be asked. They have to ask the question, and the person has to they're going to give answers. Like when they ask the question, is it possible that Kelsey took off because of pressure and has disappeared just like thousands of other women across the country? you know is it
Yep.
possible that she's and they'll ask those questions, and they'll have to answer, well, it could be possible, but we do have this evidence or whatever. So I don't know.
I think that inquiring minds want to know about the teeth. I think if they would tell us about the teeth, a lot.
I the teeth are nothing. The teeth are 100% not Kelsey's,
How do you know that?
because Chief Miles DeYoung said we have not found Kelsey nor any remains. The teeth, the teeth were collected during the search, but those teeth, that was the hearsay testimony stuff. We found they were trying to keep him in jail, but they have not matched those teeth to Kelsey.
Oh,
If
God.
they had matched those teeth to Kelsey, they probably would not have tried to search the dump, because you know unfortunately, they were looking for anything. They were looking for a piece of bone, right? Where if they had found the teeth of Kelsey, they would have said we have 100% that we have
Yeah.
five of her teeth, or we have three of her teeth, or whatever, um, and so I again, do we know for a fact? No, but I'm. He said we haven't found anything, so I I feel like if they had found something at all, there would be some. As much as they've been talking through this case, they would let us know.
Yeah. Okay, and then my last question, and maybe somebody else will call in. Have you heard anything else about Mountain Man and the guys?
So yeah, um, one of the girls, my one of my wife's girlfriends, one of the family friends, we babysit her dog all the time. She is real active in Manitou, and they very quickly took in the two gentlemen who had an altercation with Mountain Man, and then they actually put out an APB for one of those guys' girlfriends. The girlfriend kind of up and vanished, and to
Wait,
this,
boy.
go ahead.
Oh, I just said, oh boy.
Oh yeah, so the girl has vanished, and those guys are their next court date is May 20th. So we'll find out more information on that. Um, I'll find out more information this. Oh, I'll find out more information this week, um, on from that too, because I'll talk to Sarah before the 20th. So no, it's that's the first actual homicide in Manitou Springs in close to 6 years. And so
Crazy.
and Manitou's a real small town. It's not anything. It's kind of a real small little area. It's made famous by a few landmarks and things, but um, it's craziness. So, and I'm pretty sure those guys will end up pleading some sort of deal
Wow.
because it's a pretty open shut on them. First they may have actual footage because this whole thing took place right across from the police station. So,
Oh. Wow.
yep,
I'm sorry
yep.
that happened to somebody that you knew.
Yeah. I didn't know him. I met him a couple of times. He's kind of like a staple down there. He was pretty fluid up and downtown. And I know
Mm-hmm.
I'd met him and seen him more. I probably seen him more times than I had met him, but I know I'd talked to him at least on one occasion. And so no, it's a crazy deal, it's crazy because it's not. Man, it was a drunk fight, and
Right.
turned stupid, and all of a sudden you got 3 4 people's lives completely changed forever now over
Yep.
an alcohol fight or whatever. So it
Yep.
sucks. Now you got me all bummed, Aaron.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I was hoping at least there was good news about the people who had
Well,
harmed him.
well, they do have them, and I'm pretty sure the way it sounded from Sarah, she made it sound like, oh, well, this is going to be an open and shut case. They kind of went through some testimony stuff, even at their first arraignment. And these guys had been in an argument. There had been a known fight. There's witnesses to the fight. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's just crazy. People are just freaking out. There are actually people freaking out up and down here in Woodland. They're like, this place isn't, because we've had a few other crazy murders in the last, even in between Kelsey. Now we've had at least one murder, and then one murder that happened out at the state park, and then they moved the girl down to Colorado Springs. So that's a whole
Like,
another case.
like homicides or like
Yeah. So one case that happened just about I think we're going on like 15 weeks now. 15 weeks back, a wife uh, got into it with her husband, and the husband ended up dead. And then there's a case out at 11 Mile State Park, which is really just about 10 minutes past where Patrick lives, where a girl got killed, and then they moved her and her vehicle to the Colorado Springs to a Walmart parking lot where they sat the vehicle in the Walmart parking lot, and it sat there for like 3 days before they found it.
oh boy. But don't they have good cameras at Walmart in the parking lot?
I don't know. I mean, I look at this camera footage that I've seen from this, from some of these places, and I'm like, man, that's not real good camera footage. So we'll see. I don't think they have arrested anyone in that case yet. So
Jeez. Well, at least they're great things like you get to go fishing with your daughter.
I did do that today. It was pretty awesome because we have missed it for sure. That the weather is just now turning, so we'll be spending
Yeah.
quite a bit
And
of
you
time.
guys tell me that it's snowing there next week. So
It could. It definitely could.
yep, Jenny told me she was golfing today, so I knew it was a good day there.
Yeah, it's a good day. So, well, thank you, Aaron, for the call in.
Yep, hopefully somebody else will have some exciting
I'm not.
news.
I'm not hopeful at all. I'm not worried about it in the slightest. All right, we'll talk to you later.
Okay,
Bye
bye.
bye. I love just so Erin can get some credit because I always don't give her enough credit. Erin is actually the one who introduced me to J is for Justice, who is in chat right now. So, geez. So we've covered Gypsy, two other murders, a little bit of Kelsey, Patrick's case. Man, after talking to someone that was, grew up in the rodeo, knew Patrick, and they've already hung him. They've already hung him here locally within some circles because of the way he acted outside. How's it going, Miss J? Good to see you in chat. This gonna be a short one. I'm gonna take 2 phone calls and be done. That's how easy it is. I'll get bored. I'm over here recreating along, and I need to turn that off. What's going on, Stephanie? There's a bunch of people in chat. I'm not sure who they are. Kelly. We got Colorado Crime Con was in here. My microphone stand won't stay up. What's up with that? Everybody's here. Bobby's here. Man, puff puff pass along, Alex says. Alex, what are you talking about? I'm in here burning sage. Burning the sage. See how long it takes for this was a boring week of phone calls, guys. I even put my number out there all day today thinking I'll probably get at least one troll call. I think the trolls have banded together and said, "Don't call Dad with a phone because it makes for too good of a show." I wouldn't call me either, but I didn't get any. I got one phone call this week that was like, "This phone call is being recorded," and I was trying to get to my other recorder and didn't make it, and then the phone call cut off. So Jay has booked her flights. I think she's booked some Airbnbs, or she was looking at Airbnbs for sure. And we are getting ready to go to jail June 13th. I did actually an early stint in the new Teller County jail. Uh, who knows what'll happen between now and the 24th? You might stick around. I might do another stint before this thing all goes down. Nikki said, "Make sure you're not in jail on the 13th so you can do the other one." I said, "Okay, that'll work." Two things you do when you get out: you go pull enough cash out that if it ever happens again, you just tell your wife, "Baby, just bring the cash. Grab the cash." Yolanda's coming to Colorado Crime Con. If you haven't put your application in, we are about to slam down on that. As soon as Jay gets out here on the 13th of June, we're probably going to quickly, slowly start closing those applications down because we're going to start assigning rooms and beds and get that stuff nailed down. Colorado Crime Con is going to be epic. That's all I can say. There's not much more I can sell it on. It's going to be beautiful Colorado. If you're I talked to somebody else. I talked to someone else that's new to Woodland Park. They're new to the area, and we were talking about the Barrett case, and she said, "Do you think there's going to be a bunch of weirdos that are going to show up for this thing?" And I said, "I think I'm going to bring some of those weirdos out." And I was telling her about Colorado Crime Con. And I said, "Well, we're having to do video applications with our people so that we can at least, if they are weird, they have to be weird on video and let us know, at least beforehand." And but there is some concern that come the 24th, there's going to be some people fly in to come to the arraignment, and there is some concern security wise. You guys have seen the flight jacket that he wears, and they used to let us get right close to him, but they stopped letting us get right up next to him, and now he is guarded, protected. No cameras up on the second floor. No dads with phones. Just one pool camera. It's nonsense. It'll be interesting what they do, what new rules they come up with. They've been coming up with all kinds of new rules every court hearing, so they'll probably be I wonder what medication he is too, Jamie. I've been talking to people asking what that is. I wonder, it could be I don't know, but he's on medication, and that's for sure. Got his new haircut, so he'll be shaved. He'll be pretty short for the 24th. When is that? Is that this? That's like 10 days from now, right? Yeah, 10 days. Jeez. Feels like it is gonna jump on us. Um, what do you think? Guilty? What do you think? Do you think he's gonna plead guilty? Is he gonna plead a deal? What do you think? What's gonna happen? And do you think he's gonna make a deal? I don't see. The deal is with all these other cases you guys have been watching, like the one they were just talking about. I think it's um, where they had a body. I'm so interested to see how Dan May approaches this case without without a body, with little. They have some sort of evidence, right? Because they've been arguing about this consumptive testing. That evidence has still not been tested, or at least not to our knowledge, because they have argued over this consumptive testing since the start. And so that whatever testing they're going to do it once. It's going to yield a result. And if it's not the result that they thought it was, it's going to be interesting. I don't think they have enough evidence as far as like physical evidence to even say that, that there's been a violent crime. I think the evidence they had may show some sort of cover up, may show some sort of something, but I don't know. Like, it's hard to know, like, what is possible. You talk to people who have cleaned up blood and you ask them, is it possible to clean up the amount of blood that they're talking about in this short span of time? Is that possible? Everyone has said, no, that's not possible. Well, it's not possible until someone does it. But I walk by Kelsey's house once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. It's on the same street. And so today when we walked by there, I walked up there with my daughter to go fishing. And when we walked by there, I don't know that what they said took place is what took place. Uh-oh, we got a phone call. Someone's calling. Which means we got to change the subjects probably completely. Peoria. You're live with Dad with a phone.
Hi, Dad with the phone. My name is Dastaz.
Okay.
I'm in your chat.
Is this the first time you've called?
It is the first time I called.
Nice.
Yeah. It wasn't so difficult. I thought I had to punch a bunch of numbers in or something, and it worked out fine.
Oh, you just called my cell phone.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's just a cell phone. It ain't a secret number. It's a burner phone like everyone else has, right?
I guess. I thought there was like a meeting number or something you had to use.
No, that takes forever. Like, that's why I don't even like doing that. This is way more low tech, way easier, quicker, and faster. So, well, what has you calling in today?
Well, I am just fascinated with your story about being in the jail again.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
Well, Margaret, I'll tell you what, you're a risk taker for sure.
No, it's first of all, I didn't do it on purpose. And nobody goes to jail on purpose. Not even if you really, really, really want a story. I have told this story. I've told it, but once you are going to jail, once you're on your way to jail, it doesn't matter what you're going to jail for. It could be for anything. Once you're on your way to jail, you have to make a decision. And that decision either am I going to make the best of it. It's like making the best in any situation. And I've been arrested in more countries than most people have visited. So like going to jail is not scary to me in a sense of, oh, they're going, I may be scared of the individuals taking me to jail. I may be aware of what's going to happen, but Now,
Well,
prison's a
that's
different
different
story.
story.
Prison's a different story. But county jail, especially Teller County, it's the
Well,
Holiday
I
Inn.
love the way you told your story. I was enraptured the entire time.
Well, that's the way. That's the way it
However,
should
that
be.
left me with some burning questions I've just been dying to find out the answer to.
Okay, let's get these questions. What? So,
Okay, so you described being in the jail cell, and you met the leader or whatever, dude.
oh
And,
yeah. I got you.
and you said when Patrick would come out, they would start yelling, "There's Crazy Frazee." So is that normal? Was it
Well,
just 'cause
they
you were
they,
there
they,
and you asked?
okay. So I don't know if I said yell or what I said. They weren't yelling his crazy Frazee, but that's what they called him. Cause when I asked where's
Well, that
Patrick
was specifically
Frazee,
for you.
yeah, when I asked where Patrick Frazee is, they said, "Oh, Crazy Frazee's in with the Chomos." He's actually across the hall from us, right there. And so,
So do you feel like they had an opinion of him?
oh
Like,
yeah, so I was in a cell with like there was about three other guys, and we were sitting there just chit chatting about whatever, and then Patrick's case, like we started talking about Patrick, and I was in a pod of like whatever, a unit of like 30 people, and they said that probably 15 of those people are diehard Patrick Frazee's innocent, and
oh,
but that's everybody's in prison is innocent, and
yeah.
so it doesn't that doesn't surprise me. What surprised me was how they act when he's in the hallway and how he ignores them,
Mhm.
but yet it's blatant what's happening, and so that's
So,
where
so they do
they
that regularly, like when you're not there. Do you feel
I
like?
do. I don't think like because only a couple. One of the guys knew who I was. A guy that had actually worked in my yard had been in my house. He had dug up the back. He had worked for one of these contractors, so he knew who I was. And then there was a couple other guys that knew who I was just because they're local enough. But other than that, they weren't. It's not like they were treating me special. They weren't. There was. I was just another white dude in Teller County, and so
Right. Well, they
um,
probably have heard of Dad with the phone, I'm sure.
Well,
And
I
if
don't
they
think.
ask about
Well,
him,
they didn't play. They didn't play. Well, they didn't play the Dateline episode in jail. They're
okay.
not. They're not going to play true crime episodes that have to do with people that are in their jail. Um, I would think that they probably had some news early on when the news came out, but yeah, other than that, it wasn't like these dudes are in there for domestic violence to getting drunk to they're on their way to DOC. They don't give a shit about shit except themselves, and what's happening and what they're like, who's getting the next soup or what their next meal is or, who their next visit is. And so the majority of people even like like they're throwing fits in one unit where they're coming down to pepperball them. And so I I asked specific questions to specific people in that unit about Patrick. What's he doing? Where can we see him? And where are we gonna? And that's where they came in and were like, he's coming out to get his tray. And then I was actually up in a cell when the med call got started, and I heard the banging on the windows, and that's what made me go out there. And that's where they were banging on the windows as he was walking out to get his meds. And then later in the day, he got escorted up front, probably for a video chat, like a video conferencing appointment. They have this new system in there that you can just. I was literally gonna video chat Jay. If I could have got her number, I could have video chatted Jay from inside jail.
She would have loved that business.
But anyway, I'm not gonna do that again. We're not gonna try to do that again. But
All right.
so I think when you gotta understand. So I was there for maybe, let's see, I went at 1 o'clock and then I got out late, so a little over 24 hours of sitting in jail, and I was tired of it. He's been there for 6 months in solitary. as a guy who wasn't in jail, he hasn't done prison time. He's a first timer in jail. He's first timer in the county for all intensive purposes. Um,
That's the military guy.
no, I'm talking about Patrick. I'm talking about Patrick
Okay.
is sitting in jail for 6 months right now. You
Okay.
know,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, he's sitting in
Well, that's
jail.
what I
So,
wonder if something happened in there that they pegged him crazy crazy, or if it's just the story of what he did.
well,
Like.
I think it was pretty quick. Yeah, I'm. There have been a couple of other people that have spent the night. Somebody claims to have spent some time in a cell with him. I'm trying to talk to that guy. I'm supposed to be talking to him next Monday. We'll
Ooh,
see. We'll see if it happens. Yeah, and so he claims to have been in a cell with him, which in my mind is possible because I saw him in a cell with others the last time I was in jail. So I know that I'm for sure he's been in cell with other people. He's in contact even in the whole segregated child molester unit. They still have contact with each other. So, and he has contacts and he's talking to the guards just like a normal inmate about the normal daily shit. They don't really talk about nobody really talks about their case,
Mhm.
um, especially something like his case. He's gonna claim he's already claiming his innocence by his silence of things. It'll be interesting. What do you think he's gonna plea?
Um, he seems to be pretty hardcore. I think he's probably going to go with not guilty.
Just not guilty, and what do you
That,
do? You
that's
think
the
he's
way.
guilty?
Oh yeah. Well, I can't. I mean, he's guilty of being involved, but I lean that KK was a jealous woman. I mean, what else would be the motive to murder her? You know, I, it just make unless she was going to take the baby away or something. But for a woman to travel the distance that she traveled, is that's not normal. you know, to
Yeah, I
come
mean,
clean up somebody's murder mess. Are you kidding me? And she tried 3 other times to go there and do it. I mean,
well,
I,
again, like so we look at that and so you have to look and ask yourself. What you're saying is you believe she's more involved, and then you're
I
also saying because this is her story, right? So, but her story is she isn't more involved, but yet, so either one is true. She's either more involved, and her story is simply a story to do something,
well,
or
he told her at one point to hit her in the back of the head with a bat or something or a metal pipe, and that it would make less mess. Yet we're to believe that he beat her so bad that her tooth flew into a vent.
yeah, that I mean,
Yeah, it just doesn't even make sense.
well, and
And
that's what law enforcement said from the start was this thing is not logical at
mhm.
all. Her story's not logical.
Well, something that seems to me that I don't hear much about, and I feel like it got kind of passed over, is that supposedly she took some stuff that they burnt to the hospital and put it in the hazardous waste bin or something at the hospital.
Nah, I think that was more. I think that was some internet stuff. I think you're probably
You don't think that was true?
no,
That he took
no.
stuff to the
I
hospital?
don't think they could. I don't think they recovered in one of the affidavits. They talk about they recovered a gun, and then or there was a gun in this deal. They also say I think they say they recover Kelsey's gun,
Mm-hmm.
as well as there was a gun in the car that KK borrowed the car, and there was a gun that had been changed, tampered with, or whatever.
Missing
Um,
bullet or something.
yeah, missing bullet or something.
Yeah, maybe KK went there and shot her in the face.
That makes in my well, I don't believe that either. What I think you know what like what I feel happened is I feel like I don't know that this thing happened in her apartment. I feel like it could have happened out at the cattle ranch. Well, I don't understand why he spends
You don't think she was killed in the apartment?
well, I don't because well, I don't think she was shot unless they had a gun with a silencer.
I see. Okay.
Because everybody's there, it's Thanksgiving. There's multiple
Right.
people there. You know, if a gun goes off in that close range, trust me, that's opening some eyes quickly. And
Gotcha.
although gunfire is not it's normal around here in a sense of you'll hear gunfire out in the woods or whatever, but in that close proximity to those condos, had a gun gone off on Thanksgiving Day,
Yeah.
I believe somebody would have said something, asked a question, remembered it, would have remembered that story. There's a couple of things that are interesting to me. One, I don't think the video camera footage is very useful unless they actually got a subpoena and got a warrant to get the original footage, because I know that they didn't have video footage. They only had still photos of a man who kind of looked like Patrick, but you know,
Yeah.
what I think actually happened is a couple of things. I think it happened out at the ranch on Thanksgiving. I think that if it happened the way it did, then you know, thank you, Crystal, for telling the truth. But I
Well, with her going there 3 times to attempt it, and then saying that he called her and said, "You have a mess to clean up." Why would he even word it like that unless he did it for her, maybe? Maybe she was so enraged and jealous or something. I don't know. I just really lean towards
well, that's again her story of what he said.
true. You can't believe either of them.
Yeah, so that's where you have to. If we're gonna believe her, then we're definitely believing that she's telling the truth, and then
Well,
we
her
have to look at it and go,
right? I
what?
mean, that deal she got was pretty darn sweet. So she had to, you know, be fully cooperative and honest or whatever. If she, I mean, who would ever know?
I
But
don't believe they took a lie detector test. I believe the deal that she got was basically you're going to give me a 6th-degree felony. I'm going to get this, 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 and this, and I'll tell you whatever the hell I want to tell you.
yeah,
That's basically the deal she got. You
yeah,
know, here you're going to give me this. I'm getting this, 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 and this. And then once we agree on it, once we sign it, once I know that I'm not going to jail, I'm not going to be arrested, I'm not going to even be booked, I don't have to spend a night in jail. And oh yeah,
so they
and
have.
I'll
You feel they have no safeguard to protect their end of the deal, that
oh
she's going to
absolutely yeah.
give up
If
something.
Patrick gets up and says, you know what,
Sorry, there's a
I
helicopter going by.
yeah, he's not gonna say nothing. But what I'm like, if he gets up and if somehow they're able to point the finger at her, they have the aggravated they can add. But what they can't do is take away the deal without giving her the option to go to trial. Do you understand? Like, you can't make the deal with her and then because it actually says this in um your arraignment, in your not in your arraignment, in your
Indictment.
no, they call it it's your when they it's just like your Miranda rights, but it's before a judge. Teller County does it before a judge.
Okay.
If even though they say anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, that's true unless you're making a deal. Then what you tell us can't be used against you because you're making a deal with us. right?
Mhm.
You're not confessing because you want to confess, you're confessing because you're making a deal, and we want you to tell us the truth, and this can't be used against you. So KK could have said to them, I was there when it happened. I was in the back room with Kaylee. She could have said all these things,
Mhm.
and they go, okay, well, this is the story. I think we need to be able to get to him on that solicitation. When did he call you? What were the time frames? Here's the phone pings. I think they led her into saying he put the tote down here. This is where the cadaver dog hit. There's all these things that kind of didn't make sense in the story. Why would Patrick tell her he had to set the container down, or why would he tell her those things? And so I think part of the story is
Well, she
Fab.
basically fessed up to they burnt the body. So I mean, that's
Well, that's what she says, yeah. And then
yeah.
she had a slice of pizza. No, that's what happened. Patrick brought her a slice of pizza.
Oh my god.
And so she says all these things, right? So then they give her a deal. Okay, we know what you actually did, and now but we're going to give you a deal for tampering. And that's a 6th-degree felony, and it's really not even a felony. We have to call it a felony, or we're gonna have to hang ourselves, because no one will, everybody's already pissed. So think if they didn't even give her a felony. And so she did something. She probably
Well, I
helped.
would think, saying that, like, we'll only charge you with accessory to murder instead of murder would have been sweet enough. But what they gave her was just bizarre.
Well, I think it has to do with the fact that they don't have a body. They don't have a body of. They don't have a. They don't even have a video of him coming out of the house. They don't have. I know what people think they have. People are like, well, they have 5 teeth. Well, those 5 teeth are not Kelsey's.
No, I don't think they're Kelsey's. No.
Well, no, that's why they dug up that's why they went to the dump, because they needed something to say that they needed a body, they needed remains. And so if they had that simply by the warrant that they were given.
She tossed the gun and the phone, right?
She tossed the keys in the phone. I believe, if I'm correct, she gave a gun to somebody.
That's right. She gave it away. Okay.
And then, which
Well,
is stupid, except that in my mind, that's a planned, deliberate thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much. That's the thing that no one wants to remember, is that she says, I turned the phone pings on purpose so that they ping together. She says, I left that blood so that you guys would find it. So she tells this real elaborate story of a planned something. And then, but all of a sudden, oh, but wait, we didn't, but I wasn't involved, I was still up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if we'll ever get the truth.
It's crazy. Just crazy.
It's like when I think about all these other cases that are now in trial, all these other cases that we've seen, the Chris Watts case, even all of that, it was like that happened so quick. He got busted the day of, that he got busted right then. They had him on goofy ball tape. There's video of him doing some craziness, so like they had him locked. And then they got him in there and did a lie detector test with me. He just played it. Should I call CNN back? So Patrick went the entire opposite. He went straight to a lawyer. The lawyer said, shut the hell up. Don't say a word. And that is what the lawyer told him to do. And he did that. And you can't fault him for that.
Right. Right.
That's what people want to.
Not guilty, and she starts singing. with the lack of evidence, if I were him, I'd turn around and say, "Oh no, she did it. She's making all this up. It wasn't me. She did it."
Well,
Because
yeah. And what happens when his brother or his mom or his sister or somebody gets up and says, "Oh yeah, that crazy girl did it," and he told us she was crazy, or whatever. There could be 100 what ifs, and
right,
if he just turns around and points the finger at her,
yeah,
but she's not on trial.
right.
Now they
So they
can,
both walk.
yeah, they both walk. I mean, she's the chances of her doing any time are so slim because she's a first time offender. She's been charged with less than nothing, basically. I mean, it doesn't carry any mandatory time. It doesn't carry any minimum sentence. You know,
Mhm.
um, it's pretty ridiculous. And
It
then the flip side of it is she's cooperated. So even if they don't get him, if they
is.
screw up and don't get him, there if the for them to take away the deal or for them to give some craziness sentence, they would have to have something like, "Hey, listen, you didn't cooperate. You didn't do your part." But it ain't. It's just crazy. It's just nuts.
It is.
I'm
That
sitting on
gal
this.
was sentenced today. Did you see that with the little 15-day-old baby?
I didn't see it, but I heard
With the
about it. I heard it
stomach
got
came
pretty
in and she
crazy.
got sentenced all in one day. It was just swift. Boom, done.
Well, how long was the trial?
I think it was around 5 days.
Yeah,
Seems
see,
like it was about 5 days. Yeah, but like, um, they had a verdict watch today, and I was running errands, so I could only check in here and there. But at one point, I check in, and they're saying, "Oh, they're guilty on all counts," blah blah blah. And I'm listening, and they were sentencing her.
oh
Uh,
yeah. So did she get life?
I'm thinking she got like 30 years.
Okay. Oh no, she got 15 and 15. That's right. That's what
Yeah.
Aaron said. She got 15, 15 mandatory, and then like eligible for parole and 15. And so
Yeah.
and then she would
And,
be on
and she
15.
didn't
So,
throw no phones away or dispose of guns or help burn any bodies or anything.
so what did she do? Just neglect? Was it a neglect
Yeah,
thing? Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah. Child
Yeah,
endangerment.
which is crazy, right? So, but
I think
they're
the
black,
charge may have been second-degree murder.
but they're black, right?
No, they're white.
Oh,
But
white. I was thinking
they're
about the other one.
they lived in a trailer park. His face was all tattooed up. They were meth heads.
Oh,
So they
yeah.
were reading his. That's another thing. They read
You know
his
what
entire
scares me more than those
conviction
meth
list
heads is the
from.
crystals.
Oh yeah.
Because the meth heads, you see them coming, right? You walk down
Yeah.
the street, you see a meth head, you're like, hey, you walk across the street. You go by someone's house that's a meth home, or something crazy. You know that's bad, right? You
Mhm.
you know you know
Right.
something's not right. You know something right. What scares me is the little blonde rodeo queen that helps with murder, gets away with it, doesn't spend a night in jail, and is walking around free right now.
I'm telling you, I can't wrap my mind around it.
That's what scares me. Like,
I mean, 3 times, not once, not twice, but 3 times,
she came
she
to
worked
this
herself
town.
up. You're right. Right.
I drive by I told my wife, I don't even drink Starbucks because I drink at a local coffee shop. So I don't even drink the Starbucks here. But I have to go through the Starbucks drive through just to get some video footage because she says she went through the Starbucks drive through.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this girl came to this town.
I went and knocked on her door.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And she's walking around right now.
That's evil. I can't. Oh my God. And why they would make a deal like that with her? I mean, surely they could have offered her something where she would have got some time.
She should be in jail right now. She shouldn't
Oh,
be
but
out
yeah.
on bond. She's not even out on bond. She's out on a personal.
Is she connected or something to somebody that got her such a deal?
Did she what?
Is she
Is she
connected?
connected?
Somehow? Yeah.
I either she's connected or her lawyer is connected, cuz I don't understand it other than they didn't have nothing. They didn't have nothing and they needed something, and they know that something happened. Like they know something happened, but they
Well,
don't
if
have
they
any.
had locked her up on the chart, on just the cell phone charges, they already knew she had the phone and played a role, right?
They never locked her up though.
I know, but if they had and let her stew for a while, she might have sang anyway.
Well, I think
Or at that point they could have offered her something, but not as sweet as what she got when she was ready to break.
well, people freaked out, because remember it wasn't long after that the friends were singing. Like the other nurses and the other lawyer, remember the lawyers were singing. They were like, "We knew this was going to happen. We knew this was going to happen. We had heard about this. We'd been told about this." And then all of a sudden, none of those people just sat back like, "Oh, you knew there was a murder going to take place and nothing. You didn't. Yeah, nah, yeah. Let's not call the cops."
Right.
I don't even like the cops, and I don't even trust the cops.
Mm-hmm.
And if I knew there was a murder going to happen, I'd be like, I got to call somebody. I got to call some cops. I got to call a cop to call the cops, or I got to call a cop I trust so he can call the cops. Whatever. But I would be trying to tell.
Her aunt that went with her when didn't she ride in the car when she took the coffee or went over?
Oh yeah, and that's the big one, right? So and now even to the point where law enforcement is defending her. They put out a message here on Facebook about something like don't talk to so and so, and I didn't even know who they were talking about. I never talked to any of these people, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, this is the aunt, and so the law enforcement's defending her. They're like, we talked to her and she's completely clear.
Completely clear. So she was just going along for the ride, and Crystal said, "I'm gonna drop some coffee off to this girl because I want to make her my friend."
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know her, but I'm gonna go knock on her door with this coffee.
And she was there. So the story's told that they came down to look at a trailer. Then they met Patrick at Evergreen Station. Patrick and KK have a conversation. Now, I don't know where Aunt was. I don't know what she was doing, but they had a conversation at Evergreen, and then the aunt and or Patrick and KK, one of the two, they went and had a beer, and then they went and had got coffee to take to her. So it's like we went to the bar, and then I told my aunt, "Oh yeah, let's go pick up some coffee for this girl I don't know. And I want you to park in the alleyway, and I'm gonna walk over the hill over here. You don't need to see where I'm going." Like there's all this weirdness.
About the alley.
What?
The aunt. I didn't realize that she had the aunt park in the alley. And
she had her aunt park. According to the story, the aunt didn't see where she went, and so it was confusing. It's a little confusing because really the only way to drive into Kelsey's is to drive in this like little alleyway, but there's actually a few other alleyways real close by that she could have parked in, walked over just a hill, and been right at the back door. And so somehow they tell the story that the aunt didn't see which condo she went to. So because if the aunt would have seen that, it's a whole nother ball game, right? Oh, I'm in the car. Dude, there have been dudes in the car and someone's gotten, they've shot out the window and the guy didn't even know the other guy had a gun and he ends up in jail, So like, how these people haven't even, I don't know. It's sickening.
Well,
It's
let's take this a step further, okay? If she actually took the coffee to the house, do you really believe she didn't try to put something in it? And if she did try to put something in it, would the aunt have seen that at some point?
well,
I mean, why was it a trial run to see if she could knock on the door and make contact? I mean, for the story to say I was going to put something in the coffee and try to off her, to, well, I changed my mind and I just took the coffee to her.
what if
And
that's what she really did?
what, put something in it?
What if she wasn't killed on Thanksgiving? What if the poison coffee was given to her? She goes out.
Well, she talked to her mom, though. That wasn't on Thanksgiving Day, right?
Yeah, she talked to her mom Thanksgiving morning.
Right.
After, so it would have been after the 12:30. So she gets back so here's the deal. This is the thing that is confusing. Here's some things that confuse me.
Okay.
Uh Kelsey doesn't know anything's going down at all. To her, it's business as normal because we're out running cows the night before. We didn't get home till 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning. Then I get some sleep. This is after I've made 2 or 3 trips, according to cell phone, according to Walmart video, according to Kelsey telling her mom. I got home, then I went back, and then I went to Walmart. Then I took medicine out to Patrick. Then I drove back home with the baby, and I got in at about 4 o'clock in the morning. And then she tells this story to her brother. And then she goes off the radar and she's seen at Safeway. And then 10 minutes later, something between Safeway and Williams Brothers Furniture camera is about a 10-minute span.
Okay.
And then she's vanished. That's the last she's seen. Is on the camera system at the Williams Brother Furniture. They see her vehicle turn up her street, but they don't see her. They don't see her. They see her vehicle. They don't see her on camera next to her apartment. Now, what they do have is a still frame at some point of what looks like Patrick, the baby, Kelsey, and some flowers. So,
Can you imagine how cold that is?
well, and here's the deal. What if there is someone
Found out
involved?
she was getting flowers for Thanksgiving and just wasn't going to have that.
Well, what if there was someone else involved? And the Idaho phone pings that set KK in Idaho on Thanksgiving. What if KK's actually here? What if she meets up with someone that brings her phone down? What if the aunt came back down? What if the brother did something? What if? You know, there's all these phone pings. We're trying to say that she wasn't here because there's a phone ping or there's witnesses of her somewhere. You know, I'm not convinced that it didn't happen on the 23rd or the 24th, you know, or the 25th or the 26th, you know, because they didn't even go look at the house, you know.
That's true.
So like it could have happened. They, you know,
after KK got there.
KK went to Sonic on the 24th, 25th, somewhere right around there. You know, she's on Sonic video on the 24th. And so, what if it happened on the 23rd? KK was very much in town when it happened, you know, and so.
I think her hands are as dirty as they can be. Absolutely.
So maybe the coffee story is true. Maybe she did go get coffee. Maybe
Well,
she
see, I
did
thought that
poison.
happened like maybe a week before or something.
Well, yeah,
I,
that's the
I'm
story
not
she
real.
tells, but
Okay.
what if the second run
Oh.
was here, She went and
Oh.
got Sonic for someone. She was
Okay.
getting Sonic for someone. Supposedly that's after the cleanup, but what if that's after she gets two Sonic drinks and some sort of child drink, and that is on the 24th. So, because the next question is, what happens? So you're telling me for two days, the body just sits in there in the house, and he's not worried anything. Anybody's coming by, he's not worried. Because basically, the story is told if it happened on Thanksgiving, he goes home, has Thanksgiving dinner. He moved the body um, out to the hay pile, and then
Yeah.
from the hay pile back to old Ma Fraze's. She's here on the 23rd cleaning up, 24th cleaning up. I just I
Well,
don't.
what day was the burning supposed to have taken place? Do we know?
Supposedly that happened on the 23rd, 24th because KK is there. KK tells the story that she sees him go up and get the body off the haystack or get the black tote off the haystack. They're seen together at the gas station with getting a little red can of gas.
Mhm.
And so at some point, golly, it's sickening to know that she was that much involved and they didn't even arrest her in this county. They arrested her at the same police station his brother works at. They treated her with coddled gloves. And I hope somebody has to pay for it someday. I
But
hope
really,
somebody.
they did that before there was much time for investigation. I mean, some crimes are investigated over a lengthy period. So why give her that deal that fast?
I think because there's some super foul play, but whatever. I could
Yeah,
just get
yeah.
frustrated. But hey, well, thanks for calling in. I've got
Oh,
another
you're
call coming
welcome.
in.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Well,
it was
thank you.
wonderful talking to you. Take care.
Yep.
Stay out of.
Stay out of jail. The last caller said you're live with Dad with a phone.
Hey, dude,
What's up?
I think you're on to something.
What am I on to?
You're talking about the timeline of when she was actually killed. There's no way that blood and whatever else could have sat for 2 days and the nurse be able to clean it up as good as she cleaned it up.
Who am I talking to, real quick?
Kaufman Cattle.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I'm just trying to figure out. No, I think the more I think about it,
Yeah.
the more it makes sense. What if the scene was cleaned up fresh? Could it be done in 4 hours before
Yes.
the blood
Yes.
dries? Before
Yes.
it's you could it
Yes.
be could the crime scene be cleaned up in 4 hours? What if they like honestly? Let's talk about this. If you're
Yeah.
going to kill someone, if you're really going to kill someone, and there's someone else that would either help you or someone else that's going to help you clean up, wouldn't it even be better if both of you were there, because just in case something went down, like make
Yeah.
sure we can, we could, if what if she fought back, or anything like that. And so in my mind, the whole Safeway trip, the whole meat for the baby trip, the whole come get medicine thing,
Right.
I feel
Right.
like something was happening and KK was moving about and they were trying to control her so that because they were planning this thing. This thing was meticulously planned.
I agree.
He didn't just go He didn't get sick the day before he killed her because he had an ulcer. That thing was a planned out. I need you out of the house. I need you coming here. I need you going there. And so, no, I mean,
But also, though, if she wasn't there, then there was a third person that helped him clean up what he could, because he had to get back to Mama's house.
well,
And he remembered things that he missed. But I mean, I just really don't think that Fresh could have stayed long, and her be able to go in there and clean it up as well as she did without something being done right after she was killed.
so here's the question you have to ask yourself.
Okay?
Can they convict him based on lies?
I think that it's like you've been saying from the beginning, it's all on video. I mean, it's a movie.
Well, it's going to be a movie with some of the things they're talking about. It's going to be
Right.
a movie with some of the things that, yeah, how they present the way that they got to the evidence. But the question the question is if in fact this thing isn't the truth, what she's saying, and
Right.
and what she's played off is actually a fabricated story. Maybe it's the truth, and there is a third person involved. Maybe there is someone else that is helping that hasn't even been brought up yet, or they don't even know about, or they're not going to bring up because they have this story. See, if they introduce a third person now, it screws everything up. You
Okay,
know?
what about was there some kind of a service truck, or was there buddies that had been at the house or were seen parked outside of the house?
Well, there is
Yeah.
definitely somebody unknown. There is either an unknown or somebody goes there. One of Patrick's friends, yes.
Okay.
At
And
some
it's from-
point to get a package, to
And
get
it's
something.
Probably some type of a commercial vehicle, perhaps. Looks like a handyman vehicle or something like that.
Oh,
Did you
they
see-
weren't. No, they weren't looking for. They were looking for a red truck, a Corolla.
Okay.
They were looking for well, she didn't drive a Prius, but a VW, a Passat, and
No.
then
I guess I'm gonna have to go back and look, because I really feel like I read something. I'll have to find it, because we can't go on hearsay.
well,
LOL.
yeah, we're all not talking, but we're all talking hearsay.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like I read, because there is all the talk about the trailer at the dump, with the construction
Well,
equipment.
yeah, okay,
that
so
was
yeah,
dumping.
yeah. So there, but there's
I read something about a vehicle. There was a vehicle that was kind of like a handyman truck or some kind of a commercial truck that was also in the area.
well, yeah. They were. The thing is in the area. I do not believe there's any man after listening or after talking with my wife, after talking with Sam, because these guys were in the. See, the thing is when it comes to that pre-trial, we are all basically going off of the tweets because they haven't released actually Greg FBI's affidavit from that pretrial, because they're not going to release that before the trial, because Greg's stuff was all circumstantial hearsay evidence, where Christopher Adams' evidence was hard phone pings. The phone pinged here, it pinged here, at this time, this place, this time, this place, right? That's actual evidence that's not going to change. Those phone pings aren't going to change,
Right.
Testimonies are going to change. Storylines going to change. Dates and times, how things happen. All of that's going to change, even from the pretrial to the trial.
Right.
Because they're not going to be able to without
Uh-oh.
putting her at the scene, without putting
Mhm.
Crystal at the scene, which they
Mhm.
very much could put her there. They could
Right.
put they who knows what they're playing a lot of games, right? Shit, they put me on the witness list. So, I don't know what kind of games they're playing. They're playing games with who can bring phones in, who can't talk, so there's all these things happening. And so they could get up and go, "Okay, here is Crystal's testimony in its entirety." And
Do
it
you
may,
think?
be
Do
something.
you think that it's going to get to the point of, well, just because this right here says it's his phone and it pinged, or it's KK's phone and it pinged beside of Kelsey's, does that really mean that that the phone was with them? Do you see how technical
Well,
that can
they can
get?
get close, right? They're going to be able
Right?
to. They're going to be able to. But what if
What's the
Patrick
difference
says,
in that and the lies? How will they convict him?
"Well, what? Yeah, because he hasn't told any lies,
Right.
except
She's the only one that
except.
talked.
Well, he did. He did. He did tell. I shouldn't say he hadn't told any lies, because he did talk to the police. He had a 15-minute conversation when
Right.
they were questioning him about her disappearance. Like, where is she? And
Well,
he was
his
like,
lies to everybody else about his relationship with Kelsey. Now, is that going to be brought up?
"Well, I have
The
to
lies that he's
believe,
told.
I have to
You know,
believe, like, both. I mean, you guys have heard Pam
right?
Klein say this story. You've heard different people
Yeah.
say these stories, even to me, as well as to other news organizations, right? Well,
Right. And then when you went out there to the cattle farm that day and you were talking before you videoed and you were talking about either the land lease people or the owners, they were telling you about her being out there with him on the four-wheelers.
yeah, they
And
told me that they had pictures of.
right.
No,
Okay, so that's proof that it wasn't like he'd been lying.
no,
So
well,
is that going to be, you know, is that going to be part of, the trial? Because that's proof he's lying.
yeah, if
He's
he, yeah,
lying.
because that is okay, so what you're talking about right now is, she's talking about, I went out to the Nash Ranch, and there was an email that was sent to Jay is for Justice from
Mm-hmm.
some people here in Colorado that own a piece of the Nash Ranch. It's just they own like 50 acres, right, on 1,000+ acre ranch. But that's what they've done to these big ranches. Have subdivided these things out, and so we get out there, we look, but we also in this email they talk about, there's pictures, or there's either the email or I actually talked to the lady. I can't remember. I think it's in the email, but there are pictures of Kelsey on four-wheelers with Patrick. Just,
And that was in the fall,
yeah,
right?
as early as September, or it was late. Yeah, it
Yes.
was like
Yes.
September, and then Kelsey tells the story though. Kelsey tells the story to her dad, or her mom, and her brother. I was out running cows with Patrick, working. Now, they weren't necessarily working at the same area on the Nash Ranch. They may not have been caught on camera, but they were working cows, just this day before Thanksgiving. And so, in Kelsey's mind, this is her happiest place. This is,
Right.
according to her friends, this is where Patrick got away from mom. He wasn't being egged on by Ma Fraze. And don't think I think that little old lady isn't involved. She wanted immunity for a reason. And
Right.
so, this whole, I don't know. I just feel like, if there's a couple of things that I just don't, if this thing is as planned out as KK makes it out to be. I mean, planned out to the point where I'm going to make the phone pings go off, or planned out to the point where I'm going to leave a little bit of blood and different
You know, you
things.
don't want to give them credit for being that smart. You know, I just want to be mad. I
Well, I
just want to say,
know, but
there's
that's
no
not
way
the
they're that
case.
smart.
But that's
I
not the
know.
case. What if
I
what
know.
if they're not that smart because the guy who actually planned this thing is a homicide detective in Colorado Springs? Oh, that's just
No,
made that's
no,
just made up.
no,
That's just
no.
made up, but that's my brother when it comes to Patrick Frazee. My
Right,
brother
right.
is a homicide detective. You know you know
Yeah.
who I was with on Thanksgiving Day when
Mm,
this murder went down? I was with my
my
brother.
brother. Yeah.
Where was I when the cops showed up to talk to me and get my cell phone? I was with my estranged brother.
Right. But
So,
you know, I have to, you know, you don't want him to be that smart. But if you watch any videos or see any pictures of him with the horses and with the dogs, and you've said this, he is very patient, and training a horse and training a dog is very repetitive. You know, and that's the only way they learn is repetition. So he's been planning this, and it's been going over and over and over in his mind. I don't think
well,
he
if you
knew
believe half
exactly
the
how it was going to go down.
yeah, but if you
I think,
believe half of some other stuff, the Mindy Lee mother, she believes Sean Frazee and Patrick Frazee were involved in a murder
I don't
of a young lady that is blonde,
know.
pretty, blah blah blah. I mean, so that she believes that. If you believe a guy who, again, I verify. This guy is a real person that was here, that was chased out of town, and he's telling a story about Patrick Frazee.
I
So
heard
yeah,
that.
it's all craziness. It's all craziness, and
Yeah.
artificial sweeteners are safe, and Anna Nicole
Mm.
married for love, right? And so, like, it's all crazy until it's not. Until it's
I
not.
guess I don't. I mean, I've heard you speak about Mindy Lee, and I did hear the call about the guy that was run out of town, but I've followed Kelsey from the beginning, and I don't know why, and I don't know how. I just happened to catch it, and I've never followed true crime in real time. I've watched it on Dateline, but I've never followed it in real time, and I'm just I've stuck with that, and I'm not discounting Mindy Lee or anybody
No,
else's,
I
but
understand. You've been watching
I
this one.
haven't followed.
Yeah.
I haven't. I'm interested in it, but I'm just sticking with Kelsey. And I mean,
No,
I'm on the other side of the world from that, but I just feel I mean, I have a daughter, and you know, I can't imagine. But I'm also from part of Patrick's world too, you know, with the horses and the cattle and the dogs, and you know, so it things like this go on in all types of circles of whatever you call equestrian horse deals or whatever. But Kelsey and that little girl has just drawn people in, and like I said, the fact that I caught it and I've been following it from the beginning in real time, it is just.
yeah, real
And I've
time,
learned
it's
so
different.
much.
It is.
I've
It
learned
is.
so much about our justice system, about how it chugs. And I mean, okay, Dan the man, he's my hero.
And the
I believe
man.
I believe he's gonna pull this out, and he's just sitting back, tapping his foot, going, "Yeah, well, we'll do that
Listen.
too."
According to the powers that be,
Mm.
and the best defense lawyers in Colorado Springs, the top media people, Dan May does not go to trial unless he's gonna win. The problem is he cannot not go to trial, right? He's stuck with whatever the cops bring him. Dan May wasn't there doing the investigation. Dan May is
Yeah.
just bringing all this evidence from the cops. So then the question you're only as strong as your weakest link. This isn't like I didn't make that up, right? They've been telling us that since we were in grade school. And Dan
Right.
May can be top dog, head boss, head honcho, everything. He gets up there in front of a jury and a defense attorney says, Chief Miles DeYoung, did you guys handle this case correctly? And Chief says, oh yeah, we did it all right. We did it all from the book. Everything is done correctly. Oh really? Because you got on Facebook and said your department isn't prepared for stuff like this. Your department isn't resourced for stuff like this. And so they can start poking holes in how this thing. Why was it that the parents found blood, but your trained investigators didn't see anything off?
But
Why
don't
is
you-
it, you
But
know?
don't you think that at that point, when the CBI and the FBI stepped in, they filled that gap, and I feel like that Dan knows that.
You know
I
what
mean,
though?
yeah.
But here's the deal. What we don't know. Do you remember the couple from up in Idaho that did one of the interviews for a news station?
Mhm.
And it could have been a slip up,
Mhm.
but they said we notified police officers as early as November 26th or November 28th. So listen, this thing happens on the 22nd. At some point between the 22nd and December 2nd, because December 2nd is when they officially missing persons to the world, right?
Right.
That's the first
Right.
time anyone knew about this. But between the 22nd, Mama called on the 23rd, on the 24th, on the 20th.
Right.
Okay, the phone pings on the 25th, remember? The
Right.
25th, the phone. So at the 25th, they don't know what the hell's going on yet. They're still thinking, damn, did this girl run off, with some boyfriend from Doss? I don't know what they're thinking. They're looking into all this information right now, all leading up. So then now we're into 5 days that
Right.
Patrick has led them on a little shindig. He says he got a text. The work got a text. Her phone pings in Idaho. All this little info, all this stuff's going down. At some point, police officers have got to be suspicious. They
Okay,
got to
but
be.
do you think they contacted their local police?
Oh, I
Think about
think.
that.
Oh, I think they contacted everybody's local police and they started looking.
No,
right?
that couple that we're talking about. That
Oh,
I
I
mean, they
don't
didn't
know.
go.
I don't know.
That's something to think about because
They slipped up and
like
said,
they're in Idaho going, well, okay, you're telling us, the local Idaho police, that in this town in Colorado, that, do you see what I'm saying?
yeah, but they're lawyers.
I know.
It's
but
they're not just a homeless person,
I know.
going to the police station. I know about a murder, right? But listen, it's such a crazy thing to think that on December 5th or December 2nd, between the 2nd and the 5th, we're all getting into this case. But meanwhile, in Idaho, they're going, oh shit, Crystal did it. They fucking
Right.
killed that girl. They
Right.
killed that. Remember, Crystal said her boyfriend wanted her to help with this murder. Crystal borrowed my car and brought my car back with the gun bullet missing. Holy crap. And let me tell you something that they will do. They will, police officers will try to throw things in there to try to rule out people. So I just came up on an anniversary of a murder of one of a buddy that I knew, and a buddy that I had spent time with, buddy I had videoed. I'm real good friends with one of his like lifelong friends. And so I met this guy through one of my real close friends, and he was murdered up in Denver. And when he was murdered up in Denver, they knew he was shot.
Yeah.
But when they came talk to us, they were asking questions like, "Do you guys own knives? Do you have any big knives?" Stuff like that,
Mhm.
They were
Mhm.
asking us all these weird questions. Well, we
Right.
find out later they already knew he had been shot. They knew who had done it. They knew what was going on, but they
Mhm.
were making it sound like maybe that he was stabbed. And so sometimes I thought for a while, for a while that like maybe the cops don't give a crap about what KK's saying, and they're letting KK bury Patrick. However, but
Right.
what if they do know, oh shit, they this gun was shot recently and the bullet slug is here or something. I don't think they have that good of evidence, but
Mhm.
sometimes they could say, "Oh, they're going to just let this play out. This is how they tell the story they killed her." Well, if you think the cops believe her, we don't give the cops good enough credit because they're dealing with psychopaths. They're not dealing with normal people. And so at some point the cops have to be, we're not dealing with normal people. These are
No.
psychopaths. These people came
Yeah.
down to kill a mother for money, child custody, whatever. But they know they're dealing with some psychos. So just because the cops are telling the testimony of Crystal, that doesn't mean they believe it. They may have their own story of what happened. And
Right.
so, and they don't have to tell that story right now,
No.
and they don't have to tell that in the pretrial because they can use Crystal's story to bury to get the, enough to keep him in jail.
So what's
So
going to happen when she gets caught in the first lie? So
I,
what's
I
going to happen at trial when
it's
she gets
remember
caught?
so
Because
I yeah, but
she's
listen,
throwing him under the bus.
she's not on trial.
I
And
know,
but
but
so if you remember just recently,
mhm,
I think it was the Jamie Moss case where that
mhm,
woman defended herself. I don't know if because you haven't been watching, but there was a case where a woman defended herself, and
yeah,
she ends up getting the death penalty. But her husband had made a deal, and even though he testified, anytime they mentioned him, they said, "We're not going to talk about what he said." Okay. So
mhm,
when they get up there and when they put Crystal on the stand and the defense says, "Tell me what you told law enforcement." Okay. I told law enforcement this. All right. Well, tell me again, where were you on this date? No, we're
mhm,
not. We're only questioning her about her testimony to us. You understand? They protect
right,
witnesses, and the witness
right,
can't be harassed up there. Now,
right,
the defense can question, can verify the testimony that she's given, can verify those things, but they're gonna have a lot of objection to questions he asked her because she's a witness. She's not on trial. And
mhm,
so they're going to protect because they protected that man during that Jamie Moss case. They were like,
right,
we know. We don't, we're not going to, even when they talked to witnesses, they were like,
right,
other witnesses, they were like, tell us about your encounter, and they were like, well, I talked to the husband. Well, we don't want to talk about what about the husband. We want to talk about
yeah,
so and so. And so they're going to continue to point it back to Patrick. They're not going to
mhm,
just let people in a sense bash Crystal because she's the key witness. If they let people just bash Crystal, then Crystal gets up there. She doesn't even have to say anything. She's already been bashed from other witnesses, and so they're gonna protect her. So
So the things that not only she testified about, or, but the fact that she was with law enforcement on the Fraze property, and she pointed and showed them things that I'm assuming will be evidence. And it was all, well, this is where he took me here, and this is where he, and then she says she saw the bag. I mean, how will they handle all that? Because he's not going to get up there and talk, right?
he's not getting up there and talking unless he's holding something. And I think
Right.
he's got some. I think he's not coming with an empty pistol. In other
You don't
words,
think?
no, I don't think he's coming with an empty pistol. I think he's coming to court with some bullets that we don't even have a clue about.
But do you
Because
think it's just technical things, though?
no, could be bombshells.
Huh.
Could be bombshells on where
See,
he.
now here you go. You're giving him credit for being smart. That
Well,
just makes me
he
mad.
the difference is, listen, he does not open and shut. He's not stupid.
No, I know.
He's
I
not
know.
stupid. The only one that's pled guilty to anything is her.
Right.
100%. She's pled
Right.
guilty. She's pled guilty to tampering, but she's pled guilty to some crazy ass tampering, like cleaning up some stuff. And so, as much as I know Patrick's involved, but I also know how they're going to do it. I know how they are going to get him.
Right.
They're going to get him on solicitation. And solicitation can carry a life sentence. And
Okay,
and
do
it
you
doesn't
think-
take a lot, because this is the questioning that everyone needs to understand is going to happen. That people's court is going to get up there and say, Crystal Lee Kinney, did Patrick Frazee ask you to kill Kelsey Barrett? And she's going to say yes.
Yes.
Tell us that story. Okay, the first time. Yeah. Boom. Okay, did he do it again? Yes. Tell us that story. Okay. Now, tell us this story. All of the while, she's going to tell the stories that we already know. And trust me, those are lock solid testimonies for solicitation.
And the fact that she went back and she told somebody about it, too.
Yeah, but the solicitation is all they got to get him on. If they want to put him away for life, right? All they have to do is
Right.
get him on solicitation. They may not even overpress the murders. It's illegal to ask someone to kill someone, and you can get a life sentence in the state of Colorado. And so if that's how they gotta get him, Dan May, go kick ass and take names,
Exactly.
And so that's what we know can happen. Now, if they can poke holes, if that's not how he asked her, like what if he didn't ask her? What if this whole damn thing is her plan, and she's lying, and he didn't really ask her these times, and he didn't really call her up and say, "What are you doing on Thanksgiving?"
No, I don't believe that, because he did all the lying to everybody in town.
He did. So that's
about
the
their
question. So
relationship.
so what you
he
have to
wouldn't
ask
done
yourself,
that if she
yeah.
planned it.
So if the solicitation is real,
And
They-
he's not going to let her be in control because she's a woman, right?
his mama bosses him around. Maybe Crystal's.
Oh no, Mom don't boss him around.
Oh yes, she does.
I don't think so.
Oh no, absolutely. I've heard it firsthand. People that go to
Okay.
parties at his house, people that go to parties at his house, and they tell the story. We're out partying at Patrick's house, and his mom's coming out yelling and screaming, telling him to do shit. Friends of Kelsey's that I interviewed
Okay.
said Omar Fraze controlled him with an iron thumb. He was a mama's boy. So here's the deal. She didn't like Kelsey because Kelsey isn't a mama's girl. And Kelsey's an independent pilot instructor, highly motivated, wanted to get away, break away from a religious background, moved down here to Colorado, wrote her own ticket, was an instructor, right? Totally different than Miss Crystal Lee Kinney. Crystal Lee Kinney and Omar get along just fine. Maybe Crystal is more like Omar, and that's why Patrick is attracted to her because he's like it's his old mother, and maybe she is the one who wears the pants in the family. Maybe she is the one who wrote this whole story out. And if that is the case, he may get up and testify and say, "Oh no, I didn't ask her to kill Kelsey. She asked me, could she kill Kelsey?" You know?
No.
So
No.
I know because here's the one thing I do know. I have talked to people who know Patrick, and they believe he's very capable of doing the things that Crystal says he did. That's what
He's
for
very
sure.
in control. In control.
No, he's a pussy and wouldn't fight anything bigger than a
No,
dog
I'm
or a
talking about
horse.
with women. I'm
No,
talking
yeah,
about with
no,
women.
they call it for what he is. He's a coward that beats on dogs, horses, and probably women. I don't think he I think he was very verbally abusive
Yeah.
to Kelsey. I think like the verbal abuse was very much there. I think that he probably controlled himself enough never to raise his hand and hit her because he doesn't have domestic violence charges. There was never a domestic violent dispute. There's nothing like that. I think she's a strong enough woman that the verbal abuse may not have been as blatant as she thought to her, or maybe she just was tougher skinned and the verbal abuse wasn't necessarily the end all for her. I think if he would have raised his hand to her prior to this, she would have gone back to mom and dad.
Oh yes, she would have left.
Yeah. And
She
so
was. Yeah.
yeah, so I think he was very controlling. And listen, I met with someone last night, totally out of the random, but I ended up talking to him for like 3 hours. And the person I was talking to is good friends with Patrick's ex-girlfriend, the last ex-girlfriend before Kelsey. And they've been discussing this, and I'm trying to get that girl to talk to me. She still lives local, she's still right here, but it's real close to her. Like she feels like, oh my God, that could have been me, kind of thing, And so
So this is not the girl. Is this the girl where you talked to her mom?
no, this is okay.
Okay,
So
it's a different girl.
I think no. Okay, no, I didn't talk. I've talked to a couple of people that are connected to the ex-girlfriends. I've
I'm talking
talked
about the
to
one
some.
where there was the picture of
Yeah,
him
no.
and
So
her.
I have talked to
Different.
those
Okay.
girlfriends are from like high school days. This
Yeah,
other
yeah.
girl is from 4 years ago or 3 years ago, just before Kelsey. And
Wow.
and it's not the girl that's in jail. It's just a girl that's still around here in this in here in the neighborhood. So
Right.
it's turned into a craziness. I got another call coming in from Pueblo,
Okay.
so I'm gonna take this next call.
All right. It's
All
good
right,
to
we'll
talk
see.
to you.
Thanks for calling in. You're live with Dad with a phone.
Hey, it's Kimberly. How are you?
It's who?
It's Kim.
Kim. Have we talked before?
No,
Oh, okay.
they wanted me to call in and ask you to play some video they sent you.
Who? Who sent me? I ain't playing
I think
videos.
it was Aaron.
What do they want me to play?
It's the video on the McNack trial.
Oh, I ain't playing
They're
no.
all asking in chat.
Well, they can ask away. Go somewhere else. No, I'm not playing any videos.
No
I've been going for 2 hours. I ain't even trying to go find no videos. I got 200 messages I haven't read.
Oh my! You'll never find it then.
So have we met? You're in Pueblo.
No, I'm in Pueblo.
Yeah, you're
I
in
am.
Pueblo. So
Pueblo
how long have you been following this case?
The Kelsey.
Yeah, Kelsey's case.
Yep, since Kelsey's.
Oh,
Has there been
okay.
any more on the Gypsy case?
There hasn't. There's not any updates at this point at all, and yeah. So
Mom never made it down then.
I've made it down there. I haven't made it to the I haven't walked into the police station. I try not to walk into the police stations. Um, the
But has her mom come to the United States?
her mom isn't here yet. As much as I know, I do know that there's a schedule for a prayer vigil on the 28th.
Okay.
I believe is being hosted by the Filipino community here. I'm gonna be honest. Like after talking with the cops, after leaving, I've left 2 voicemails with after finally he just quit answering my phone calls. The detective on it, and they're just not. No, there's no updates. No.
Yeah, it's just like all quiet.
No arrest record. I've looked and checked. Has Dane been arrested? Have they made any advancements in the case? And there has been nothing. What I do know is since the news has done a story on it, I would encourage people to pressure the news. This could be an awesome time to watch social media pressure the news again, because if you pressure the news desk here locally, especially the ones that did stories on it, they'll follow up. They'll at least call and just them calling and getting another. Now they're gonna give the same stinking update, and that's gonna be, oh, it's an open investigation. They can't talk about it, which is not true. If they don't have any leads, they should be talking about it. So,
right.
It's
It just
frustrating.
seems like it got quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah. No, I got quiet about it, and I don't know who else was. I know there were other people that were talking about it. There were some things that I learned. I'm not a freaking sleuther. This is the first case. Kelsey's case is the first case I've ever even looked at, talked about online and stuff. I realized real quickly that I could have reached out to Kelsey's family a number of times. I could have tried to make contact with them to try to, get whatever. There through a few people reaching out to me, I've talked to friends and family or friends of the family and different people, and but on Gypsy's case, it was different because there was no family here and there was nobody here that represented her. There's another case that I'm looking at the face of a kid right now where I've got a message. I'm searching for my son who lives in Colorado Springs area and was told to contact this site. Could you please help us? Like there's missing people from all over the world right here in Colorado Springs, and it's some of them are missing on purpose. In Gypsy's case, I think anyone who has listened to the conversation that me and Jay had with his dad and with him, and that conversation,
I heard that one.
that one was sent to the police. I sent that the same day. I sent that to that law enforcement agent, and I'm like, if you listen to this and then don't even bring that dude in for questioning, right?
Right.
Like, you don't have
They
to
didn't even
have.
bring it back to Colorado, did they?
According to the people I've talked to in San Diego, um, his car disappeared and a few things, but like there's been no sighting or anything of him, but I don't know where
Oh
he's
wow.
at, I don't. Again, I left messages with the detective, and I just, hey, could you give us an update? At worst, tell us that you guys are still looking into it, that it's still an active investigation. At best, give us ask us a question. Maybe the public can help. But
Right. Right.
so I feel for these
Do you know
missing
if they'll?
cases. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think they'll let everybody into the court on the 24th if a lot of people go,
The
or will they just
courtroom
let
is
a certain
never.
amount in?
So listen, when you say a lot of people, what do you mean?
Like, say a lot of us show up. I mean, will they let everybody in, or is there enough room for everybody? Because I know it's an older courtroom.
Well, it's a big courtroom. It's
Oh, okay.
it's much larger than like what people think. It has not even been anywhere close to being full at
Oh, okay.
any one of the hearings. It hasn't been full. Most of the people in the room are media, and or there's been some more locals. I've noticed some more locals show up the last at this arraignment. So no, I mean, like, if 500 people show up, yeah, but listen, I brought more people than anyone else. And so that
Right.
last time there
Well, I want
was.
to go. It's just I can't find nobody to drive down or go up there with me, so I just end up going by myself. But
Well, show up and you
I
can
know.
find us, and you can just hang out with us. There's
Just
gonna
hang
be.
out with everybody.
You can just hang out with us. There's probably gonna be a couple. Like, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure there's a few people coming down for the arraignment, and I'll be there. Me and my wife will be there. Because they may or may not let me in. I never know
I
now.
know, that's just the thing. You think they'd let you know ahead of time
Oh no!
if you
And the
could go
thing
or
is,
not.
they're gonna let everyone in though. This is the same thing we just went to last month that just got postponed out. So, like, or whatever, a couple, maybe the early, what was it, April 4th, I think.
Right.
And so yeah, this is the same thing that happened last month. So it's going to be a
Okay.
big. I mean, as far as the press goes, pretty sure press is going to be sending out all their folks. This is the thing is it could end right here. So that's
Right.
like it could all end right there on the 24th. He could say,
But they won't put it off again, will they?
oh, will they put it off again?
Yeah.
Shit, have you ever dealt with the justice system? If
No.
if I'm betting, there is a chance it could be put off again. Now, do I think it's going to be put off again? No, I think he's going to plead not guilty. What again?
Okay.
And they're gonna head towards a trial, but that's gonna just be. It's only scheduled for an hour, right? Where the difference,
Oh.
everybody got all spoiled because they did that pre-trial thing, and that thing went all day, and
Right.
that's not even. That was a showboat, is what that was. Because that's the time they kicked me out. It was a showboat. They wanted to drop all these big bombs about, candles and bats and this romantic mystery murder thing that happened. This thing is complicated, I think, for everybody. So, if it goes to trial, it's going to be an interesting trial.
You think her parents will be there?
Um, I don't believe her parents will be. They might be. Her dad might be. Her dad was at the last one, but he was at the last one because he was also at a custody battle, at a custody hearing that was like 2 days before. I don't
Oh,
know,
okay.
but I think I think her dad may be down for that. And then there is another. I mean, Patrick's due back in court on June 13th as well for a custody hearing about Kaylee. So there's he. You know, there's he's going to be going to try. He's going to be going to the courtroom quite a bit. Um,
Right. But
if
do you think hopefully her parents will get full custody of her?
Yeah, I believe that we haven't seen any indication from from the the lawyers. We haven't seen any indication from the judge or the lawyers that anybody else is gonna. They haven't even. But again, that's we haven't
I
been
hope
in
so.
those. We haven't been in those hearings. The custody battles are always closed to the press and the public, and
Mm.
so we haven't been in those hearings, but I think they're going to at least extend that out until what they're not going to do
I
anything.
hope.
They're not going to do anything until this thing wraps up. And
And
so,
you know she's all established and
yeah,
comfortable with where she's at.
and that's all going to bid well. I mean, that's going to play well with all of that. Uh, for all intensive purposes, I I would hope that the public would just freaking cry out if they tried to
Right.
put her with Patrick's mom or Patrick's sister. It just wouldn't.
Right.
If that happened, I mean,
Well, and you know
listen,
they'll
I'm
never
not
see her
gonna
then.
I'm not gonna lie. I think we live in a crazy world. I don't care
Mhm.
where you stand politically, but we have a crazy we've seen some crazy
Yes, we
stuff.
do.
We've seen some crazy
Yeah.
stuff politically the last few years. I would
Yeah.
have never in a million years thought someone could come down here, admit the things that they've admitted, the woman end up dead, and then walk out of here like they
Mhm.
own the world. But I watched that happen
It's
with
all
my
about
own
who
two
you know.
eyes. I watched it happen with my own two eyes. Um, so like, do people think Patrick could get off? A lot of people do. A lot of people think he could get off, and a lot of people think he's innocent. Like,
I just want closure for the parent. You know what I mean? Like just so they have closure of where she's at. I guess is all that.
that's
I
the
wish they
thing.
could just find her.
I just. That's why I wish. I feel like they could have gave KK like 5 years or something, like mandatory prison
Mhm.
time. They could have then said, "All right, Patrick, if you'll tell us where the body is, we'll we'll look at life or even, 50 years or something,
Right.
Like I feel like
Do you think they will though?
I feel like something's in the works. Um
I hope.
I feel like I feel like they have offered or will offer. Well, they have offered something. And
Right.
even though they didn't find the body, I feel like they're going to come back with another offer unless, I mean, maybe they go to him and say, "Listen, plead guilty to 3 counts of solicitation. We'll give you 20 years. You'll do 50. Maybe you'll have, maybe you'll be a granddad with Kaylee when you get out." Or something. They can, like, because if they can say something like that, all of a sudden they
Right.
start getting him to think about, like, well, maybe you get out when you're 60. He's 36. Maybe
Right.
okay, so maybe he gets out when he's 75. Whatever. But if they say to him, "Listen, we're taking you to court, and we're gonna seek life terms on each one of the
Or death penalty, maybe.
solicitations." Yeah, I mean, like they could say life term on. I mean, they got to be open and honest with him. And if they say, "Listen, we're
Right.
going to seek the life penalties on the solicitation, we're going to seek the death penalty on the murder, and if we get you with one of those, you're screwed." And so,
Right.
and that's where he may go, "Shit, But I would hope that they would make part of the deal. He has to give them something like
Now,
you.
does her parents have any say in this? Like, do they get to do a plea bargain, or do they get anything at all in this? Like, can
Um.
they offer a plea to him, or they don't get any
Now
part of this?
I don't believe so. I do believe that they will notify the parents. Like, I believe they notified the parents. It's illegal for anyone to know outside of the DA's office the conditions of the deal. But I
Oh,
think they will. That's at least according to Dan May. No one will
I
even
just thought
know.
maybe they would be able to put their input of.
Now, they may be able to put input, or they would not input, but testimony, like testify, like at his sentencing. So let's say he makes a deal,
Oh,
but then
okay.
they're going to do a sentencing, and they're going to let the family speak. And if the mom gets up there and says, you freaking lied to me, you said this, you said that, and now we know what happened. I mean, that's going to mean something. I don't believe like the parents will get to say
Like, they can't say,
no.
"Can we give him 50 years if he agrees to tell us where the body is?" They have nothing to do
Yeah,
with that. That's all the
no,
attorneys.
no. There may be some input, like the DA may go to them and say we can give him a break if he tells us where the body is, and
Okay.
that might happen actually. I think there is some instances where like it's not like the
Because didn't
parents are making that decision, but the parents could say
right?
no, we don't care where we don't care. We want you to nail him, and the DA is not
Oh,
gonna. But I don't think the DA is really gonna do a lot of that with the parents. Unless they're
gotcha.
pressing. Maybe if they pressed into it. If they were actually making phone calls going, what's going on? Have y'all made a deal? I do think they would
Right.
notify him. I think they would notify him for sure if they made a
Because
deal.
Shanann's parents got to say the death penalty or not, right? On Chris Watts.
Maybe
Didn't the
I
judge go
don't
off on what they said?
know. That would be something to ask somebody that watch. I didn't
I
follow the
know Jay
Chris
follows
Watts.
that one.
Yeah, Jay would
Okay.
know, or somebody in chat would know. But
And then what about visitation? Would he get visitation of Kaylee if he got, say, 50 years or whatever he
most of
got?
the time, not. Most of the time,
Good.
not. Especially even at this point, like he may be under because of the nature of the crime and because they added that violent. Remember, they added that violent crime thing.
Right.
There's a reason they added that, and people think, oh, there's this because the nature of the crime that is to protect Kaylee. A lot of times they stack
Good.
these charges because those charges carry certain stipulations, and one of the stipulations of that violent crime thing is that you are ordered not to be in contact. It's not that they have to issue, it's not like they have to issue restraining orders against you. It's a blanket kind of restraining order against you to any contact with victims, trying to get a hold of victims, any of that. What I don't know is the conditions of visitation to Grant Omar and or his sister, because they're
Right.
fighting for custody, even though custody is remained in the Barris family. They may have some sort of visitations.
Ugh. Yuck. Well, and then they'll have to transport her back and forth, and that's just hard. It'd be hard on Kaylee.
Yeah, I don't think they can like get visitation. They're gonna award custody. I don't know.
I
Like you,
sure
I
hope
want
they
to say
do.
they're.
'Cause
I want to say they're going to award custody um, to her parents.
Chelsea.
But if for some reason there's a mistrial, see you can't
Ugh.
you can't get 12 people to agree on where to go to eat. And a
Right.
jury,
I
like,
know.
I mean, I don't know how many times I've been with some lawyers, and they're like, a jury is a beautiful thing when it works. And sometimes
Mhm.
that's when it works for the guilty and it works for the innocent. But sometimes it just doesn't work. And most
But
of the
won't it be
time,
there where everybody knows them?
that's an interesting. I think that's why they'll move it.
I hope so, because that wouldn't even be a fair trial.
But the problem is the question of there's a lot of politics involved when it comes to
Right.
moving, right? Like they've set the stage. If they move it, then it really does hamper. It can hamper the defense because it's going to like when they everything's going to be like right now the state is like, oh yeah, everybody in this county is ready to slaughter him. Even like I mean there's an overwhelming number of people that have watched the story and said this just like you and most of the time me, I put some sort of element of truth into KK's story. And then again, I come to my logic and I'm like, there's no way she's telling the truth. That's a big ass lie. The whole thing's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And if the whole thing's a lie, that scares me. So
Yep.
I'm worried about
I
that.
hear
So
you.
it's
Well, I have one other question for you.
Oh,
What's
let's
with this
go.
other underground page that they're always bashing you on?
okay.
I always wanted to put a comment in. They're like, don't you have other things to do besides just total negativity? It doesn't matter what you post, but they always come back with something negative on it. It's awful.
It's
Do you know who runs that page?
there are speculations of who runs it.
It's just like so annoying. Like I so many times just want
I
to do it,
know.
and it's just like
Or you could just block them.
right. It just causes conflict. You know what I mean? But it's like it doesn't matter what you post. It's like they always got to come back with something.
I love it, right?
Negative to say. It's like, can you not think of anything positive to? I mean,
It's
you could say you walk down the street, and they would come back and say that you walked the wrong direction or something.
yeah, I know. It's a
Like,
time
wow.
it's a time management issue.
Right.
They don't they seriously don't know how to manage their time. But
It takes so much time for all that negativity when they could start putting positive stuff and.
I'm cool with it
It's
because
so
I
much
get
easier.
so many people that come and not really. They don't get I don't go over there too much, but I've gone over there recently because somebody will send me a screenshot and I'm like, is this a screen? I don't know anymore like if screenshots are real, so I'm like, I'll go, but I have to go get in they have me blocked, so I can't just go over there. So I have to go like get in a
Gotcha.
different account and go look. And I don't have that kind of time management. Like I would
know, it's just like, why would you take the time to do that?
I feel bad.
And I didn't know if it was just one person in the town or it was like a group of people or.
Oh, but I
wasn't
mean,
sure if you knew who it was.
there's definitely a group because I pissed
Is there?
people off long before Kelsey's case. Like I changed the whole election. I changed some things because this town is a small. I mean, if you, you're in Pueblo, right?
I'm in Pueblo West, yeah.
Yeah. So, we just got your
kinda small.
boy.
I mean-
We just got your boy. The city the guy who used to run Pueblo West is running Woodland Park now as our city manager. A guy named Darren
Really?
Tingerman. He was the
See, I don't keep up with all that.
yeah. If you don't keep up with the politics,
I'm bad at that.
yeah. So the politics in this small town are as
So is that a bad thing that you got him or a good thing?
it's yet to be determined. He just got here like
Gotcha.
less than like
I know. I told my husband all the stuff that you put up with there. I was like, "There's no way I could stay living there and put up with all that." I was like, "No way."
Yeah, but like it's all in perspective, right? When you've been to places where the
Right.
babies have had their arms cut off in civil war in Africa, and then you come back to Woodland Park, even though we got some, because most of our politicians are idiots, they're ignorant. I mean, have you ever seen
Right.
like our remember when the Facebook guy, because I'm on Facebook. So when Zuckerberg was sitting in front of Congress and they're like, how do you make money on a free website like Facebook? Like how do you make money? And he's like looking at him like, do you want me to explain how the internet works? Like so our politicians in Woodland Park are as stupid as those Congress. They're so out of touch. And so
Right.
it was fun for me because I've been sitting in the little council meetings. I tell people my life is so boring that I freaking
They
go
don't
to
run you out.
council. I go to council. And so they're pissed anyway. And
Right.
and then
Well, it sounds like they're after you. They watch you pretty close.
yeah, but the best they can get me for is like bullshit. Like I'm in jail for 12 hours, right? Or 10 hours and I
Right.
got to pay a lawyer a bitch load of money. But when the
Yep.
system plays out, I'll tell you what, if they end up putting me in jail and KK walks on what she
know.
walks on,
Right.
and if Patrick gets out, I think I should be able to at least get a meeting with Trump about some craziness happened in Teller County. I'm
know,
like,
right?
they let 2 murderers go, but put dad with a phone in jail. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But Pueblo's
You
crazy.
just have to watch your back. Oh, I'm not saying it's not. Even
I don't
Pueblo
watch
West
my
is getting
back.
Pretty.
If
Well-
seriously, if there's evil out there that's coming after me, then get me out of here now and whatever.
Right.
I mean, I don't.
Well, we have that other Kelsey case here in Pueblo.
Yeah,
but
the
they
Kelsey
never solved
Schilling
that one.
case. Kelsey
Mhm.
Schilling, yeah.
They were digging up yards and everything here, and they still haven't found her.
No, that's a.
And I think that's sad too. Her poor mom. Whew. She's went through some stuff.
It's the families on all of these, especially these women, like Gypsy's case,
Yep.
Kelsey's case, all these.
Yep.
All these mothers, I just, it's crazy.
That's why I got 2 daughters, and it's like, ugh, it's too scary. I'm like, always watch your back, and
Well,
it's just scary.
so
these
like
days.
you have to. I always ask questions. I always, there's more to the story, right? There's more to the. We look at this and go, well, did Patrick just? Either this is planned, like it seems to be, and it's thought out, and they either are getting away with it or haven't got away with it, or they got him and they're gonna get him, right? And they catch him, right? Or it was something that happened. Well, it just didn't. It didn't just happen. They planned it. They meticulously planned it. They tried to cover it up. They tried to, they conspired about it. If there's more people involved, like I don't know that you can stop
Like
those
his
kind of
brother?
things. Well, I don't know that you can stop those kind of things. Well, I think his brother's involved. One, I think his brother's involved because his brother's
Well,
not
the law
around.
enforcement, Right.
He's not
Probably
around.
helped cover a lot of it up.
He could have covered. He could have. They didn't figure out this phone pinging shit. They didn't like. What the KK didn't just go. Oh yeah, I turned on to both phones and they pinged at the same time in Grand Junction,
Right.
Salt Lake, and in Idaho, like 4 times along the way. I did all that on purpose so y'all could track it. Like that didn't happen because they didn't plan some shit out. And they don't have a
Right.
body because they plan that out good enough that they don't have a body, And so,
Mhm. I still think she's on the property for some reason. I don't know. I just think he might have.
well, if she's on anybody's property,
buried her.
if she's on anybody's property, I think she's on the Nash Ranch. I don't believe that like
Not on Omaha.
I don't think so. Because basically that thing's only 38 acres, right? And they
Right.
literally walked every square inch of that place. Like every
Oh, wow.
square inch. And then they searched the house twice. And they surveilled him from the 14th to the 21st. And so they watched his ass for almost 7 days. And then they had her testimony and stuff. And so they were watching his ass real quickly from the 14th. And so December 14th to the 21st, they arrested him. So I don't think
But why was there no DNA taken out of his vehicles? If he had her in his truck, wouldn't you think there'd be some DNA somewhere?
the problem is DNA is not what's DNA gonna get you. DNA is gonna get you the story that she helped him move cows on Thanksgiving. Like DNA is gonna get you the story that she
But in
was
the
with
back of the truck?
uh, anything outside of this is a bone, this is a body, this is DNA is skin cells, right? So like
Right.
DNA can be they can collect, so that's why they found, and we already know that they found an unknown male DNA in the house. Right? We know that
Right.
because DNA. I had this conversation with my dad. DNA is different than actual blood, and so DNA can be picked up from everything, and so they have some DNA samples from stuff, but
Right. But there wouldn't be no blood in the truck then, I guess.
yeah, it's not like
When he was transferring her.
if they collected DNA from the blood, right? And then they could that's what they if they
Gotcha.
found blood, then they run the DNA test or the test to verify whose blood
It's
it
just weird
is.
how it's just vanished. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have anything.
Well,
It's just,
and
I
it's
don't know.
weird to me because the small town, like, man, I mean on December 1st, so they announced her missing on December 2nd, but on December 1st, I mean, we had a town parade. You can go look at the parade, and we're just blocks.
Oh, wow.
We're just blocks from Kelsey's house, just right there downtown. She could have walked down. Just a few days late, I mean, just Thanksgiving Day, I drove up the same street and went right by her house at 12:30, and then again at like 5. So I missed her by about 4 or 5 minutes, I think. And then when we were on the same street 4 or 5 minutes, and that's how close I started replaying, and I even went back and looked at video. And earlier in the day, I had gone up and around her place. And so it's such a small little town, and the story that they're telling. And then on the 24th, I was driving around in town when KK's supposedly cleaning this thing up. And so it's weird because it's such an elaborate
But there's no
story.
video of her car there?
No, well, there is video of, yeah, her car was there. So her car never left. And her keys, she took her
No,
phone.
KK's car.
KK's car. No, KK parked at. There is a possibility.
Oh,
I
that's
always thought
right.
she parked at the Cultural Center, which is literally right there in Main Street. I was there
And
today.
there's no cameras?
There
That
are
would show that she was
cameras.
parked there?
There are cameras, but again, we're talking about up until November 26th. On November 25th, her phone pinged, and they thought, well, damn, she might be running off with some guy, or whatever. So it wasn't like they got on those cameras. They should have got on them fast enough. I don't understand how they
Right.
couldn't have because November 22nd, Thanksgiving, they did a wellness check on, I want to say the 26th or the 28th. Somewhere right there, they did a wellness check. I think it was on the 26th because they did a wellness check, and then mom and brother came down and were in the house like the 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th. On the 30th or 31st, they tell that the CBI goes back in there. And on the 2nd, they announce her missing. The 5th, they did a press conference. So they had there was some time. They didn't start watching Patrick, though, until the 14th.
But there was no cameras that picked up KK's car showing that she was cleaning the apartment?
No, because she parked at there's no cameras of her. There's no video of
Oh.
her, at least that we know of.
So I was
Like,
going to say that could prove if she actually was there. You know what I mean? If
I
she
don't
was-
I don't think she denies being there, because here's the deal. People got to remember, she didn't admit to tampering. She admitted to something far greater, and they gave her a deal down to tampering, right? She didn't come in there and tell them. She had, I don't know, maybe she did, maybe not, maybe she did tell them the exact story they tell, and there's no extra evidence. I don't know anymore. I just don't
It's just,
understand.
that's crazy. I just hope they find her. I mean,
I
least
think
for
it's getting
Kelsey's
farther and
parents.
farther away. I think we're getting farther and farther away from her being found.
right?
I think the only way, again, is if Patrick had some sort of come to Jesus meeting, and comes out and says, I want to get off, I don't want the death penalty, and I'll tell you where she's at, Like, if he just came out and said, I'll tell you where she's at, you guys need to make me a deal, I feel like there would be a deal made. I feel like they would make him a deal. Now, I feel like
Well,
he's
let's
going
hope he does that.
well, and that's the thing, is like, what do people want? Do people want justice, or do people want the truth? Because they're two different things. They may be able to, that's why I ask everyone, do you think they can convict him on lies? Because if she's lying and they convict him, then he's convicted on lies. And we still get justice, right? Because maybe he's involved, but maybe she was more involved.
Right.
Whatever. They convict him
Well,
on
I'm
lies.
going to say Omar wasn't, or you know what I mean? Maybe they all did it together.
Yeah, but it's easier to convict one. But if they start adding people, then all of a sudden it just gets more complicated, because who's
Right,
going to,
right.
But
Yeah.
they
Do you
could.
think they'll ever look into his dad? What happened to him?
I feel like they could, but here's the deal. I feel like we can do anything the cops can do. Like, I feel like we would be able to find out anything that the cops could find out about his dad. And we haven't been able to find out anything. The most
But
I've...
wouldn't you think they'd want to know what happened to him? Since he doesn't show up as...
Well,
When he
I have
died or
now
anything?
asked someone again that, like, this person told me that there was money involved when his dad died, and they knew that his
Right.
dad had died. Patrick showed up and bought
they
this
confirmed
stud
it.
horse. Yeah, they confirmed that he's dead, because they confirmed
Okay.
to me that Patrick got money when his dad died, and his dad
It
had
didn't say
money.
how he died.
It didn't say no, and I asked him. I was like, "So how did his dad die?" Because I've heard everything from drowning to other stuff, and I'm like, "How does a grown man drown?" Because a grown man doesn't drown.
Right.
That doesn't happen. A grown man doesn't drown unless you're drowning in the ocean. You're not drowning in Colorado. And so,
Right.
I don't know how his dad died. I do believe his dad is dead, and I do believe that death and whatever money he left may have been motive
For Kelsey.
for well, I think Kaylee's the motive, but not in a sense of, I think the custody of Kaylee is the motive, because Kaylee has some trust fund money, and it was life insurance of some sort, but I don't know how that works.
I wouldn't think they'd get it till she's a certain age, though.
Yeah, but you got to think of it this way. She's a baby, right? So whoever gets custody of her is going to be able to shape her. Like, she's not going to remember this stuff. And so whoever
Right.
gets custody is going to be the people who shape her. And then those people are most likely going to have access via her, maybe, right? Like, obviously, Kelsey's parents. Kelsey's parents don't need money, by the way. Kelsey's parents own the condo Kelsey lived in, and so
Oh well.
yeah, they're the owners of the condo, and so this is why some things were done. People didn't understand how the police had access to her computer. Well, if the owner of the condo says, "Hey, if you can gain access to the computer that's in the house, then gain access to it." So
And they still own it to this day?
yeah, they actually still own it to this day, but I do believe it is up for sale or for rent.
Oh, okay.
But they're the owners of the condo.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so like if we were talking about the life insurance stuff. If Kaylee has some sort of trust money from Patrick's dad, then whoever has custody of her is going to be able to shape her over the next formative years. She's 2 years old and going. She probably doesn't understand what's happening. I look at I have a
Right.
4-year-old. My 4-year-old would for sure understand what's happening.
Right.
But when I think about her being at 2, the it's still that innocent age. So
Right. So if her parents get custody, then that money would be part of theirs for taking care of Kaylee then.
well, depending on the terms of that money, right? I don't know what the
Okay.
terms are
It'd
of
probably go
that.
through a judge, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, but it could be something where, again, it's not necessarily something that they can take control of right away, but their thinking, their idea is if we control Kaylee, at some point we could gain access to that money if that's the motive, right? See, it could be written like however he gave the money to Kaylee, it could be written, hey, this money is to be used for Kaylee and it can be used to take care of her before she's old enough to even have access to it, right? So like there could be used for her schooling or whatever. And so there may be some whoever her legal guardian is does have some access to it. We won't know that. I don't even know if
Right.
we'll know. I think if it
It'd
is
be behind
true.
closed doors.
Well, I think if it's true, like if there is life insurance money, or if there is some sort of trust fund, I think if that is true, if those things are true, and we go to trial, that will be brought up as motive. Like I would assume that they would have to talk about that because it's not
And the poor girl,
necessarily
if it was,
what.
she grows older. I said the
Oh,
poor girl, if it is, and she grows
yeah,
older, and that's just
yeah. It's just
Well, I'll
it
let
would
you
feel
go for
weird. So
tonight. I know you've been on a while.
I know we're heading on 3 hours, so y'all are probably all tired of me.
We were at bingo, so I didn't even get on until 9:30. So
Oh yeah, you're
yeah, you have been
gonna
on a while.
yeah. Well, thanks for
Okay,
calling.
well, hope to see you on the 24th then.
I'll be there. Come say hi. Come come hang out with us
I
for
will.
sure.
All right, sounds
All right,
good.
we'll see
you.
ya.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Oh, thanks for joining Dad with a phone. Call in. I'm pretty like starting to focus super into this case more and more. One, to understand it, because we're in a point where I think Patrick called the bluff. I think he called the bluff with the last arraignment, and now we are going into what, for all intents and purposes, is going to be: are we headed to trial, or are we going to see the end of this through a deal that was made with the state? I don't know. But it is interesting. It is like this one of the callers tonight said, never watched it happen live, like happen in real time. And that's what we're getting to do, especially with this case, where, again, the Watts case, you guys watched it live, watched it go down, but you didn't get that discovery stuff until afterwards. It was over with, right? Where this stuff is happening right in front of us at the very moment. We're going to see that, go to the trials, sit there, listen, and people ask me if I'll be honest with you. I wish and hope, and I hope they do move it out of Teller County, because it'll give me an excuse to leave. I'll be like, all right, I can just go here for a while and hang in Durango. And so it'll be interesting. I do anticipate that there'll be more people here, but I don't think it'll be an overwhelming number. Cripple Creek's not the easiest place to get to, and it's not like you just hit 25 and you're there. To get out to Cripple Creek, it takes some time. You're talking about the whole thing's only going to last an hour. You really don't need to show up. I mean, Dad with the phone has the best coverage. So anyway, thanks for hanging with us on this call-in show. It was good. Thanks for calling in, you awesome people. And if you're watching and have been having a conversation in chat with everyone else, I'm glad y'all had good conversation.